We welcome you to the motor racing capital of the world, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we are here for Carb Day. That's the final tune-up for the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500. And look at the turnout that we've had. A lot of people playing hooky, whether it's from work or from school. They're out in the sun and having some fun here at the Speedway. From the Pagoda over to Gasoline Alley, it's not that far a walk. Earlier, just a few moments ago, it was Helio Castroneves, the pole sitter, making that walk. He makes a quick left turn and goes all the way down to pit spot number 1. It's his choice as being the pole sitter. The man that will start alongside of him, there he is, Tony Kanaan. And on the outside of row 1, Dario Franchitti. And there is Marco Andretti for the second year in a row. He'll start in the number 9 position. What about Michael? He's trying for his 16th race here alongside his dad, Mario, the only member of the Andretti family to win here back in 1969. Danica Patrick will start in the number 8 position. She's too looking for her first Indy 500 win in her 3rd attempt. All right, let's recap the month of May, as it has been long and grueling for many, especially if you remember pole day. 5 hours of waiting for that man right there, Dario Franchitti. And it was right near the end of the first day of qualifying when Helio Castroneves managed to bump him off the pole. He withstood a late charge by Tony Kanaan by 4/100ths of a second to grab his second pole. Of course, we have 3 women drivers in this race making history. First time it's ever happened. Sarah Fisher, as she is in the field along with Danica Patrick. Danica has the best starting spot of the 3. She'll come out of the number 8 spot. And nobody, the rookie, just very pleased to make her first Indy 500. In day 2 qualifying, the story had to be Davey Hamilton. After 23 surgeries and 6 years of waiting, the man has come back from a near fatal crash to make it into the field, and it was an emotional moment for everyone involved. He'll start 20. And on day 3, well, the story was A.J. Foyt Racing. A.J. on the left, celebrating his 50th year in Indy. And he has Al Unser Jr. for the 19th time in his career. Al will start the race. There's again a hug and a kiss from Mom Wanda. He'll be running for A.J. Foyt. So as we get ready now for the beginning of the final practice, let's get caught up to what Carb Day is all about. From first our 4 pit reporters, let's bring in Jack DeRoot.
Well, Marty, Carb Day in essence is a nod to tradition and also a full embrace of 21st century technology. Now, first up will be 60 minutes, the final 60 minutes, and in fact, the only 60 minutes. The teams will be able to utilize their race chassis with their race engine. For teams that qualified in the first week, most of their work has been done. This will be what's called a leak test, make sure everything works properly. But for teams that qualified on the second weekend, it's the first opportunity that they, in essence, get to really see what they might have for a race setup. 2 different agendas, but one final result. Jamie Little, when it's all said and done, they take it back to the barn.
That's right, Jack. Back in the day, this was called the barn. I'm in Gasoline Alley because the front of the garages look like barn doors. Well, of course, it's been modernized, rebuilt back in 1986. There's 96 garage stalls. Now, today, the story is what's going on behind these doors. Right now it's empty. All the teams are out on pit road. They are ready to rock. You're seeing here a backup car. You know it is practice. Accidents happen. Things happen. If need be, there are backup cars. If one of the drivers has to take it out to the field, they will start in the back of the field. Now you're seeing behind me Vision Racing. They have 4 teams in the 500 this year. Following practice today, it will be a meeting of the minds. All of the engineers will get together, make sure they haven't left any stone unturned, make sure that they got the maximum speed out of these cars. Then they'll throw a tarp over the top and they will wait for the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday. Now today, final practice isn't the only thing coming up in this show. For more, let's go to Brianne Pedigo.
Well, Jamie, we've got a jam-packed day here at the track, and one of the things that you don't want to miss is the Indy Pro Series racing in the 4th annual Freedom 100. These are the stars of tomorrow. And really, a lot of these graduates, in fact, in the Indianapolis 500 this year, there are 7 graduates from the Indy Pro Series racing in this Sunday's race, including Marco Andretti, who gave Sam Hornish Jr. a run for the money last May. Is there another Marco in the field? Another Ed Carpenter or Jeff Simmons? Well, there's really only one way to find out. The Freedom 100 will be coming up shortly. Vince?
Well, Brianne, all month long, the IndyCar Series drivers have been in the spotlight here at Indianapolis, and deservedly so. But each and every one of these drivers will tell you that their success on race day depends heavily on the performance of their pit crews. Today, the pit crew members will have a chance to step outside the shadow and shine for themselves. 10 teams have qualified for the pit crew competition. $100,000 purse, $50,000 to the winning team. We'll show you that competition a little bit later in the evening or in the afternoon. But first and foremost, these drivers and teams have got to get it together for one final practice before the Indianapolis 500. And for that, we'll send it upstairs to Marty Reed, Scott Goodyear, and Rusty Wallace.
All right, thanks, Vince, and you're right. That's what's coming up first. And let's talk about this, guys, because this is the first and only time all 33 cars in race trim are going to be out there on the track at the same time.
And Marty, it's important because the drivers know this is what it's going to be like on race day. So they're out there to try to find how their car is going to work in traffic with all that turbulent air. Gear ratios, have they selected the top gears? 4th, 5th, and 6th are so important here for speed. But most importantly, I think for drivers today is to get some butterflies out of the stomach. It's been a long time since we had qualified to be able to come here and have this opportunity to run what they call Carb Day. And the other side of it too is we know as a driver, do not make a mistake, because with only a couple days left before the 500, there's not an opportunity to get it right.
Rusty, as they pull out, I mean, it is a bit of a butterfly situation. And the one thing you don't want to do is make a big error out there.
Well, Marty, to me, this is one of the most dangerous parts of the whole month of May. These guys have been here, these guys and gals have been here the whole month, and it gets right down to this 1-hour practice session. Get the car right, make sure everything's perfect, make sure you got your rhythm just right. This is a very nervous time for me to watch. There's backup cars out there, but they don't want to use them. So this 1-hour practice session is going to be the money laps.
Well, we mentioned the fact that it's carburation day. You want to know the last time carburetors were used here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? The year was 1963, and the cars were driven by Jimmy Clark and Dan Gurney. Clark finished second, Gurney finished 7th that year. And let's take you back to that moment. There is the number 92. Watch this. This is how they did pit stops back then. They pushed it forward and then raised it from there. And in the museum, there's the number 92, the last carbureted car here on Carb Day. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, cars have taken to the track. In fact, a few of them have already done a little warm-up lap, and now they'll bring it back in for the crews to check over before they go out and try and bring it up to speed. We heard a report that perhaps Dario Franchitti's team dropped the car off the jack. What's going on, Vince?
Well, prior to the practice getting underway today, the 27 car fell off the jacks as the team was working on a pit stop practice, and Dario was standing right near the front of the car at the time. The impact of the car was taken on the rear of the machine, particularly the right rear. Didn't seem to be any damage, but the crew diligently went through the rear end of the car to verify the measurements and also checking for any damaged suspension. Dario did take one last look at the rear end himself before climbing in the car, and the look on his face indicated he was not pleased with the mishap. You can imagine your car falling off the jacks just before you go get in it on the last practice before the Indianapolis 500 when you're starting on the front row, and they're taking one last look at that machine. But at this point, it indicates, and we'll get a better idea when Dario gets up to speed during this practice, it indicates at this point that the car and the suspension are okay, but keep an eye on it.
Well, and when you see them taking side panels and engine covers off, Scott Goodyear, that's not a good sign.
Well, and right now, for Dario Franchitti, who's sitting in the car, this whole game here is about mindset necessarily. And when you see something like that and you have the opportunity to witness it, and you know something, you don't know what's going on with the car, remember, you're going to go out there and you are going to go and put your life on the line. You're driving at 225 miles an hour down these 5/8 of a mile straightaways and going in, turning left at full speed. That's the thing, and it really plays mind games on you, because in this situation you don't want anything wrong on final practice.
So while that's going on, here is the last qualifier in this year's 500, the rookie Phil Giebler. We only have 2 rookies in the field, and we should tell you he's the only car on the track right now, and he's turned a total of 3 laps. Bit of a surprise, you might say.
It is a surprise to me, Marty. I thought we'd have a lot of cars out there right now running, but Giebler is out there making laps all by himself. You know, this isn't a bad thing. Nobody around him. He barely made it in the field, and he's in good shape right now. So to me, it's do everything nice and easy, work on your chassis, get it right.
And Rusty, the reason for that is, don't forget that they have fresh motors in these cars right now. Honda rebuilt all the motors from qualifying. There's fresh motors in there right now. Suspensions, all these cars have been looked over. A lot of new parts in the car. So what they do is they go out there and they do that first run, that leak check. It's almost like getting a new car from the showroom. There's that break-in period, if you will. That's exactly what's going on here right now. They're going to go out there, run a couple of laps, bring the cars in, take the bodywork off, make sure there's no oil leaks anywhere in the car, and then they'll send the drivers back out on the race course to then assess what they have to get ready for race day. So, you know, high speeds around here, and yes, the mechanics are great, but, you know, errors do happen.
And on the right, you see Milka Duno, the other rookie in this year's Indianapolis 500, as she is waiting to go back out onto the track. And Giebler has now turned 5 laps, and he has gotten up into about the 2:15 range. And let's get an update from Jack Arute on Team Penske. What's their plans?
Well, basically, as Scott Goodyear alluded to, the basic plan is at this point a leak down test. But here's what the Team Penske team is going to do for both Helio Castroneves and Scott Dixon. I talked to Tim Cindric and Roger Penske. They feel that this will be the type of race conditions at the start of the race. So they are going to try and manage approximately 25 laps during the 60-minute session. They're going to break it up with 2 things in mind. One, make sure after they complete this leak test that they can go out and they can run at full speed without making major adjustments to the chassis. But then watch, fellas, because they'll be doing what we call an out lap and not even getting fully up to speed, making another in lap, because this is the first time the drivers have been allowed to come off of turn 4 onto pit road, and they will practice what they are referring to as abnormal pit stops. What I mean by that is, okay, he's coming in and he's got a flat, or we need to make a wing adjustment. They aren't going to be the nominal stop, because what they want to try and do is get to the point on race day where something untoward happens. They basically can say, well, we've been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
All right, thanks, Jack. As we see out on the track now, there is John Andretti. 2 yellow cars this year in the field. Obviously, also Ryan Briscoe has a bright yellow paint scheme as well. They'll jump out at you throughout the race. And there's John's numbers as he qualified 24th. Across the top of the screen, you'll see our entire starting field by row, and you can see where your favorite driver shakes out. And of course, John will start on the outside of row 8.
I tell you what, he jumped right out of the race cars, out of the stock cars, came right back to Indy, Marty, right up to speed. I think everybody's so proud of John Andretti because it doesn't seem to have any butterflies. That car, the Panther car, is right where he wants it, and this has been a real big story here at Indianapolis. He has really got that car handling great for not much time at all in it.
And Rusty, you've driven the stock cars. You had that opportunity to drive the single-seater at Homestead, and driving an Indy car to a stock car, I mean, you know the difference, not only in the horsepower, but the weight of the car. So, I mean, I find it very hard to understand how you could actually come from a stock car, driving it for so many years, and I know that you had the experience in Indy car like John did, but, you know, really, John just, like you said, did an amazing job to come here and be up to speed within 1 day.
I've got to agree with you so much on this, Scott, because this is an amazing story. I mean, for him to get in that car and 221 right off the bat, you can tell it came right back to him. Jamie, can you get more?
That's right, Rusty. I actually talked to John Andretti yesterday, and I said, why come back? It's been 13 years. He said, you know, my schedule just opened up, and I remember how amazing the Indy 500 is. So he gave John Barnes a phone call and said, what do you think? And John said, we can make it work. So here he is with Panther Racing. And I talked to him yesterday and said, all right, so the last time you were here was the last time there were 3 Andrettis in the field. Mario was in the field then. I said, now there's 3 of you again. Do you think that helps the chances? He goes, well, as history shows, until we get 33 Andrettis in the field, I don't think it's going to help our chances of going to victory lane.
Great line by John. And if you remember, back in 1992, there were actually 4 Andrettis because Michael's brother Jeff was in the group as well.
You know, and I remember that day being so very cold. Obviously, the situation I had with Allenser Jr., the closest finish ever in the history of the Indianapolis 500. But that day itself was a situation where you saw friends of yours actually hitting and crashing the wall, and Jeff being one of them, actually having a lot of damage to his legs, and really probably put a halt on his career because he was a talented up-and-coming driver, and with the last name of Andretti, you really expected that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I didn't really expect. I thought we were going to have Ryan Briscoe out there. As you look at Andretti's stats right now, I thought Ryan Briscoe was going to be the only car with a yellow car. Now Andretti pops up with another yellow one, Marty. So we're going to have to stay busy up to keep track of these 2 guys.
Well, and you notice, guys, we're starting to get a little traffic jam here. We go. And in the driver's meeting, yes.
Right down on the apron there. See the sparks coming off?
And this was one of the things Brian Barnhart talked about in the driver's meeting this morning to everybody. Be careful trying to complete a pass going into turns 2 and turns 4.
But you know something? I know that he doesn't want to see all the cars running together, especially on the final practice day, carburation day, like we are having right now. But this is what the drivers are looking for, guys. You need to get out there running traffic and start to feel how the car is going to work on race day. That turbulent air that we talk about, gear ratios. Do you need to start changing gear ratios for the 4th, 5th, and 6th ratios by maybe 100 RPM to get off the corners better, to get down the straight better, as we see Mario Andretti watching on the right-hand side? All these things are the things that drivers need, and, you know, we don't feel like we're out of place when we do that.
They've got to keep doing this, Scott. I mean, if they don't get tight enough in the draft and run side by side, they're never going to know what these cars are going to do. You saw the sparks earlier coming off the cars, bottoming out. That's the low air pressure settings. These cars are coming up to speed. But unless they get real tight, we're really not going to know, because, hey, they're going to start 33 cars side by side. They got to know what's going to happen.
You saw the 39 of Michael Andretti streak through. His best start ever here, 3rd back in 1986. He'll start 11th this year at 2:22 and change. We're here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When we come back on Carb Day, we'll talk with Chip Ganassi. Stay with us. ESPN's presentation of the Indianapolis 500 Carb Day, presented by Checkers and Rowley's, the official burger of the Indianapolis 500, and in part by Xbox 360. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that's Dan Weldon on the right of your screen. Was he giving a little gesture there, guys?
Well, you know, I think he might have been, but quite frankly, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I think that, you know, this is a race course, guys, and you have to pass people in front of you. He's not going to pull over and let you go through. This is not a traffic light situation.
Weldon's been saying all month he is so focused for this 500. In fact, he's been really kind of mean to some people, they tell me. He's really so focused that he's concentrating real hard, and he's been a little bit hard to deal with some of the people out there, because some think he's over-focused. He wants this race so bad.
Well, you remember he almost won this thing last year with leading 148 laps. He was focused. He certainly is determined. And I think in the situation where he didn't get it, he comes back here probably more fired up.
And as you ride on board with him, his owner is watching as well. Chip Ganassi's with Jack LaRue.
Well, indeed, Marty. And Chip Ganassi certainly knows well, if I say the passion or the concerns of Carb Day as an owner, but also as a driver, because you had to endure this back in your driving career. Who's it harder on? The guys on this side of the wall or the drivers back in the car?
Well, it's harder on everybody, Jack. You know, today we're just trying to make sure we got new engines in the car, make sure that they're working, make sure that, you know, we stay out of trouble today. These are the race cars. These are the cars that will be out there Sunday, so we want to make sure everything's right, and they're just fast enough.
We've talked all month about the focus that Dan Weldon has had on trying to get the prize one more time. Have you and he chatted about that at all?
Quite a bit, and you know, there's a guy that, you know, that word focus really typifies Dan's attitude and approach to the race. And, you know, he's got the target team right where it needs to be for Sunday, and we're pretty excited about our prospects.
Guys, I want to show you real quickly, if we can. This is also the first time that we get to experience what the pits will be like on race day. All of a sudden, the pit area is cordoned off. This is the sacred area where only people with fire suits can get into. But here's what happens. Look at the crowd that's beginning to build. By race day, it will be so difficult for you to maneuver up and down pit road. It's kind of like a salmon swimming upstream.
Well, I think what you need is get some of the guys from the offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts, like Jeff Saturday, and he can block for you, Jack. He'll get you through there. As you can tell, look how crowded it is getting in. This is just Carb Day. Jack's right. It turns into a real zoo down there with everybody trying to get close. Meanwhile, out on the track, Danica Patrick is turning some laps right now. She has gotten up to speed, as she'll start in the middle of row 3, as you see at 2:24 and change.
Marty, she's really confident. I've talked to people down there working on that car. They said, you know, she's very focused. She knows she's got a shot to win this Indianapolis 500. She's done many radio interviews and television interviews here in Indianapolis, and she's kept the same story. This is my best shot. I don't think I've got as fast as cars I had a couple years ago here, but this car is driving really good. I'm very confident.
And you know something, Rusty, you know about 500-mile races. It doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest car that wins a race. It's probably not the fastest car that wins Daytona. It's not the fastest car that wins here at Indy sometimes. It's the person that puts the package together with the team, Marty.
And she's 8th right now at 2:21 and change. Let's get more from Vince Welch.
Danica seemed very relaxed prior to her practice run today, as you get a look at Kim Green, who handles the strategy, one of the team owners for this Andretti Green Racing team, handles race strategy for Danica. They did a leak check, and Chief Mechanic Dave Popular seemed somewhat concerned that there was an issue underneath the cowling, but everything seems to be well in regards to the data that the team is receiving while Danica is out on the track. But here's an indication of how every single detail, no matter how minute, is important on a day like today when you're getting ready for 500 miles. Before Danica rolled out, she was saying that the water bottle straw was hitting her too low into the mouth, and she said over the course of 500 miles, she wants to make sure it's comfortable. And Scott, you know over the course of 500 miles how hot it can be inside that cockpit. Staying hydrated is very important, and they want to make sure, even on a day like today, that that straw is hitting her perfectly so she won't get thirsty or hydrated in 500 miles.
Well, Vince, as a race car driver, I can tell you, any little thing driving you crazy inside the cockpit of that car is a distraction. Whether your seatbelts don't feel right, in her case, the water bottle aggravating her, it's something that won't get out of her mind. She'll fuss with that thing throughout the laps, and these guys have got to get that right. They got to get in that car and feel so comfortable and feel like everything's wrapped around them just perfect to feel comfortable.
Now, a few laps ago, Scott, we saw the telemetry, and somebody might have thought, wait a minute, there must be something wrong with our screen because she wasn't in the throttle. She was looking for something.
She was looking for traffic, and Marco Andretti, her teammate, just went past her right now, and it's an opportunity here for her now to start to see how the car works in traffic. And we now hear that we have a yellow light situation, so she'll start to back off the throttle. But what she's looking for is to see how the car works in traffic, that dirty air that's in the car coming from in front of you, and also the other situation is to see how her car pulls up behind the car in front, and we call that sucking up behind the car to see about those gear ratios. If the gear ratios, remember, this is the last practice, guys, to have everything right.
As she pulls in, the yellow is out. Danica Patrick, as she's run 7 laps today at 2:21.
Hi, my name is Danica. I started doing yoga back when I lived in England. I went for like a month and a half straight, like every day. It's just a different escape for me. It's very relaxing, and it makes me feel good. Actually, the last class that I went to, I did the splits for the first time since I was in like high school. And I guess it's a good thing that I'm half decent at yoga, or else they'd be like, she's an athlete?
Luckily, you don't have to do that in the car, because I couldn't.
I'm going ouch just watching it.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I had to do that, my leg would break off. That's a move she was doing there.
Here are the stats on Danica here at Indy. 2 starts. This will be a third. Her best finish, of course, her rookie year when she led 19 laps and finished 4th. Stay with us. We're coming back with more on Carb Day. Now that's Victory Lane here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're under a yellow for a track inspection on Carb Day, as we're waiting for the green to fly again. You already met Danica Patrick as she was doing some yoga for us a little bit earlier. Of course, we have 3 women in this year's field, and Brienne Pettigo has caught up with Milka Duno. She's in the cockpit. Brienne?
Well, you can imagine as a rookie at the Indianapolis 500 how important a good final practice before race day would be, and that's the position Milka finds herself in right now. For this practice, they're really just trying to get her comfortable in traffic. She really has not been out, especially with 33 cars, in race conditions so far this month. So they're trying to get her very comfortable in the car and get her balance on the car set up the way they want it. Right now, they're still struggling a bit to make some changes to get that balance worked out. But Scott Goodyear, maybe you can provide some insight here. As a rookie, they've told me that they're trying to get her comfortable in traffic, make the necessary changes, and then get out of here. But I'm thinking, as a rookie, wouldn't you want to stay out and get as much time in that traffic as you possibly could?
And sometimes, Brian, that's the difference between a driver and a team owner once in a while. But you're absolutely right, because especially when you come here to Indianapolis, and I had a fair amount of open wheel experience when I arrived here as a rookie in 1990. It was overwhelming for myself, and I've talked to many people that have said the same thing, and it will really be overwhelming for her when she comes here on race day and walks out with 400,000 people. But because of her limited experience in single-seater cars, remember she has the one race underneath her belt at Kansas, and then she's coming along here. That is very difficult. And don't forget, just earlier this month, as a rookie here, she's running, and this was the crash that she had back in May 11th. And that really takes a lot of confidence away from a driver when you come here. Even if you're here as a experienced veteran, this is a situation where it sort of shakes your confidence. You got to get back right in the car that same day if you can. Now remember, she got out of the car. She was actually allowed to be able to go off and run later on that day, but her situation was that she could not have the opportunity to get back in the car for a couple of days, Marty.
And as we take a look at her career highlights, of course, her first and only other IndyCar start was back at Kansas a few weeks ago, where she finished 14th. Finished second in the Rolex 24, best ever by a female. That was this year in 2007. First woman to win a major international sports car race. That was at Homestead Miami Speedway back in 2004. First to score points in Telefonica Series in 01, and named Venezuelan Driver of the Year back in 2000. And she got a late start in the racing. She really is a brilliant person, holds 4 different master's degrees, and that's what she focused on first, and then wanted to go racing and has since pursued that dream. Of course, we've seen Milka. There is Danica. Now, Milka's only turned 10 laps, and her fastest was 2:15. There is Sarah Fisher, as she's also turned 9 laps, and her best was at 2:19. And you see there where Sarah will start 21st. Let's get an update on what's happening with Ryan Briscoe's camp. Let's check in with Jack Arute.
Well, Marty, let's see. We've got 3 women. That's history-making. We've got 3 Andretti's back in the 91st running of the Indy 500. How about this? We've got 2 Penske's. Roger Penske's son, Jay Penske, has brought Ryan Briscoe to the party. And, Jay, what sort of advice did your father give you about Carb Day and, of course, the big day coming up Sunday?
Just make sure we stayed out of trouble here today and got the setup right for Ryan. And made sure we stayed out of the wall and just got this thing into the garage safe today.
They say that the key to the success of the Penske organization has always been preparing and expecting the unexpected. How have you approached everything this month of May?
I think we've got great people in place. The preparation has been as strong here as any place I've ever seen. And I think we've got a great chance on come race day to put a great car in the field.
Let's talk for a moment about your dad. What is the most important thing that you've learned from your father, Roger Penske?
I think it has to be integrity, and no matter how you do, it's have fun when you're racing.
Fellas, you know the old adage, as they get ready to refire the engines and go back out, the apple don't fall too far from that tree.
Well, Roger, of course, the most successful car owner here, as son Jay is going to have to go a long time to catch up with 14 wins, 14 poles, including this year with Elio Castroneves. I mean, everybody's playing second fiddle when it comes to this place. 10 different drivers with 34 front row starts.
And you talk about integrity, what Jay Penske was talking about. I don't know of any car owner around that's got as much integrity as Roger Penske does. He's very respected, and it shows with all these victories and all the great people he's able to assemble around him. And you know what? Hardly anybody ever leaves Penske Racing. They love this man. They love working for him.
Well, while all this is going on, remember there was a problem early in the Carb Day practice with Dario Franchitti. Let's get an update from Vince Welch.
Well, Marty, a big sigh of relief on the faces of many of the crew members down here in Dario Franchitti's pit area, because Franchitti went out and gave it a good run prior to that yellow and came back and reported that the car felt stable. He said a little bit jumpy in traffic, but he felt like it had a good balance in traffic, and he was able to adjust the car and feel the adjustments. So Franchitti came in and said everything feels good, and that's a big relief for this crew, particularly after the car fell off the jacks prior to going out for this early practice today.
Well, Vince, the last thing you want to do is make mistakes. They've been here for a solid month, and when the car fell off the jacks, Dario was very disappointed because he's thinking, we're already making mistakes and we don't even have ourselves in this race yet, guys. This has got to stop. Let's get our head back together and make some good laps today and no more mistakes.
Yeah, but there is one other way to look at it. If you're going to make a mistake, make it today. Don't make it on Sunday. You see Dario's statistics there. Across the top of the screen are all the current practice speeds, the fastest for each of our 33 competitors. And as they come streaking by again, Dario Franchitti comes past.
This is what all the drivers are looking for today. As we mentioned before, they just want to get sort of nose to tail, feel what the car does in traffic. And as I mentioned before, you're working on how your car is going to handle for you in traffic, but also understanding about gear ratios. 4th, 5th, and 6th gear are so important here on race day to give you that opportunity to follow in a tow, conserve fuel, or maybe even have the power if you have to go down to 5th gear to be able to pass somebody in the draft. This is one of the key things that you really have to get right for race day, because if you get out there and you're running on the limiter behind somebody in a draft, you have no opportunity to pass them.
Well, Scott, as you know, in qualifying, some of these guys don't even shift at all. But in the race, almost everybody's going to be shifting. The gear ratios are so important because they'll be going all the way down to 4th, maybe back up to 6th, and trying to keep that car up to 10,300 RPM to make max power and keep that Honda engine wound up.
So as Dario Franchitti continues to motor a 225 down the straightaway, his best average lap right now has turned in at 220 and change. And right now that would put him in the top 10 as far as the speeds. In fact, puts him right in the number 9 spot. Dario Franchitti on the outside of row number 1 for Sunday.
It's always tough to do that. Right, we're going to put you in front of a camera now and I'll show you what you're really like. Take 2. I fly my helicopter a lot. Just that feeling of being up there. The view is fantastic. I mean, obviously you're focusing on flying the thing, but just things you can see. I'm sure flying a helicopter to the same level that we drive the Indy cars to is challenging. You know, I can relax more in the helicopter and enjoying the sensations of it, enjoying where I am and what I'm getting to see. You're not really pushing it to the limit, nowhere near the limits you push the race car to. But I love getting in my Eurocopter and go flying.
Pole sitter Elio Castroneves leads the field to the green flag in the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500. The Indianapolis 500 telecast presented by GoDaddy.com on ABC Sunday. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Back here at Carb Day, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as the practice here for the final time before Sunday's big race. So far, Tony Kanaan now has stepped up the program. He is now running 225 and change. But more importantly, I'm looking down the board and I'm seeing Scott Dixon 6th fastest, Dan Weldon 16th. Guys, what's going on there?
Well, Dan Weldon's much farther down than he ever wanted to be, that's for sure. But you know, we talked to Roger Penske earlier, and he told me, take a look at Tony Kanaan. This guy's at the top of the leaderboard the whole month of May, and Penske's focusing on this guy. They got him rattled just a little bit because he thinks he's good every time he goes out.
And one thing we also need to be cautious with a little bit here, because some of those speeds are obviously done by tows when those cars up in front are sort of breaking the air for you and you get that slipstream from up in front. So very difficult to sort of understand exactly what everybody has in true respect as you see the covers going on the mirrors of the Penske machine, because everything that's on a bodywork these days is used as an aerodynamic device.
Meanwhile, there is Marco Andretti at 223.2 miles an hour, and right behind him is Scott Dixon. And that's what brings me back to Target Chip Ganassi Racing. You know, you want to run out there with traffic. You want to get into that tow, don't you? So if you're down at 220 like Weldon, and Dixon is only, like we said, in the number 6 spot at 223, that's more respectable.
Well, you know, Kanaan may have had, and the guys at the top of it, Franchitti and what have you, and Michael Andretti, may have had 2 or 3 cars in front of them going down the straightaway just to help break that wind up in front of them, as we always call it, to get that slipstream. And you're now looking backwards on Marco Andretti's car. Now watch the turn 2 just fade away so quickly in the middle of the track. He'll flare it up to the wall here as he gets a little bit closer, and then he'll start to head down towards the apex, and turn 3 right there is still doing over 215 to 18 miles an hour. Now as you come through turn 4, this is what the drivers love to see on race day. You come down here, it's just filled with people left and right. Now he's going to turn around, take a dive into the pits, and see the barrels on your left-hand side. Locks up the right front, 60 miles an hour down here. You want to stay to the right-hand side in case any cars are going to pull out into the center lane on the left-hand side. He goes all the way down, working his car all the way down towards that pylon, and that's the marker that you end up using. And looking for that, looking for your crew member, and drive it into the pit box. Let your guys do the work.
And they'll go through a simulated pit stop, and he's not happy about something. You see the gesture, and he's on the radio. No, he's shaking his head.
So Marco Andretti not pleased in the way so far Carb Day is going, it looks like.
Well, when you got the radio right in front of you, when you can talk at the radio and that's not enough and you got to use your hands or something, it's really got him upset, that's for sure. So he's voicing what's going on. He's upset about something. He's pointing to the right front wheel a lot, Marty. So there's something up in the right front part of the suspension that's concerning him.
Well, a lot of times
it was understeer, but it would go pretty big. But I would, I'd keep my foot in it until like I knew I was going to hit the wall, so you could do a lift. But the positive thing is when you did the lift, the rear stayed pretty good. So
he's talking about the
it's our car. I mean, it's a lot of laps on the tires. How many laps?
Marco asking how many laps they've turned. You don't want to put too many laps. He's 10th right now on the speed chart at 222. Vince?
Guys, right now they're looking at their right front tire. There was a little bit of a worn spot, and they had a discussion about that. You heard them on the radio talking about the understeer, and I had spoken with the crew chief just before Marco came in, and they said that they were just out trying to work in traffic, not only being in traffic, but also being ahead of the traffic and seeing how the car was affected by the air. Marco had no complaints at that time about how the car was working, but you saw him was definitely very animated in his gestures. They know they're not going to run many laps today, so they want to make sure that everything is as fine-tuned as possible before this hour-long practice session comes to a conclusion.
I think he flat spotted that tire on his way into pit lane. We saw him light it up. Now there is Sam Hornish, and Jack, you've got some word on what they're going to be working on here?
Well, yeah, Marty, as we said, this team has an agenda. They've already done the leap check. They've already done full speed. Now what Roger Penske, a man that leaves nothing to chance, is going to do is do one of those quote-unquote abnormal pit stops. When Sam pulls on the pit road, Roger's already instructed the crew, we're going to come in like we need to make a wing change. We've got all the pieces ready to go. And why they do this, fellas, is much the same way in practice in the National Football League. The defense always wants to intercept the ball now and again, because you want to be in a position when it happens in real time, you know how to react. For Sam Hornish, this has been a dream come true with this team. And what I mean by that is Roger Penske gave him that elusive Indy 500 victory. But he told me that this time around, he's even more hungry. Not to get a win as a gift from Roger Penske, but to get a win for this team. Watch for this pit stop coming your way, most likely on this next lap.
Well, and what's really important here, we have to remember, guys, is that we're now with a 22-gallon fuel cell instead of 30, which means the fuel is getting in faster than the tires are going on, and that means when you got to make a wing adjustment, you're giving up more track time.
And that's because we've gone to the ethanol fuel instead of methanol, so that 22-gallon tank, as you mentioned, Marty, smaller tank, and it does get filled, and it seems like the fuel takes about as long as the tires, and that's very interesting because everybody has to take into account 6 seconds or 7 second stops. Now, the thing I'm watching here on the telemetry, he's in 6th gear as he's now starting to head in towards the pits. But as he was running in 6th gear, the speeds weren't great, but they're not using up the engine, guys. They're not using the RPMs because they're out there just focusing on car handling and now on the pit stops, Rusty. So you know they're smart. Penske smart, not out there running 10,300 RPM looking to set the speed of the day today, because today is not important.
As you can see, they come down pit road from 6th gear all the way down to 2nd gear right now. Penske know things are going to happen really fast. The pit stops are quicker now, so they got to take a look at the swing change, see if they can get it. Jack?
Yeah, now let's watch and see. Well, he's actually killed the engine, and I think what happened, fellas, is he stayed out 2 additional laps. Sam radioed into Roger that there was something he did not like about the car. So they blew off that pit stop, and now they're going to go into what they call an inspection mode to see if they can find what the tiny little thing was that Sam sensed. So sometimes your best laid plans with the feedback from your driver make you have to make a change on the fly, and that's exactly what this team has just done.
So Sam Hornish Jr. in the cockpit trying to give feedback. We'll find out when we come back if he has pinpointed what the potential problem is in the number 6 from the defending event winner. Let's meet him.
Sam Hornish, take 1. I'm just a huge movie fan. I had a 24-inch TV at my apartment before I got my house. So like everything else, it had to be like totally upgraded. I thought, you know what, I'll just get like a 50-inch plasma and I'll put it, somewhere in the house. I start talking to some people about it, and then, all of a sudden it turns into this, 9-seat, powered electric chairs, going back. I got leopard print carpet down there, and I got lights underneath, and it's all wood, panels. And it was the first thing that was done with the house, and it's probably the thing that gets the most use other than my bedroom. So yeah, I love it.
Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Carb Day. We're getting ready for the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500. And that's Michael Andretti's team as he has climbed out of the car. Business is done for the day for Michael as he has decided to take the helmet off and exchange words with the team and talk about what they found. He's third on the speed chart right now. His best lap at 223.5 miles an hour. There's Mario off to the right. I think he would have to be happy with that.
Well, he's probably pretty happy with it. But, Scott, I got a question to ask you. A lot of times in the former racing I came from, the car's not handling right. You just got to get out of that car and think about it and talk about it instead of having your helmet on, be in the cockpit. Is that going on right now, you think? Vince, let's take a look.
Well, Michael, talking about how your race car was handling out there. I heard you say that you really couldn't afford any more understeer, but talking about the track coming to you. Can you really get a good gauge 2 days ahead of time whether the track will come to you on race day?
You guys are listening too much. Well, I mean, I think so. Going by experience, and when the track rubber's in, I think it'll come more to us. Real happy with the car. I'm real happy with the balance. It may be a little bit understeer, but I think that's a safe thing for the race. So I really don't want to mess with it. I think we got a real good race car.
You were talking about coming in for a couple of pit stop practices, and Barry Green was reminding you to have a good entry and look for your pit board. You've done this so many times. Do you still need to be reminded?
Absolutely, especially when I haven't been doing it a lot. So it's really important for him to, give me the heads up and all those things just in case you forget. So it's a good thing to have.
The first time, really, that we've had all 33 cars on the pit lane for practice. How congested does pit lane look when you're coming down looking for your pit box?
It's congested for sure, but that's something that we all got to get used to. We have 33 cars here, and that's the beauty of today is we have them all out there so we can get a little bit of an idea where we're going to be for race day. So you just get all your bearings straight and all that stuff.
Now you are a driver, but you're also a team owner. At what point do you switch from the driver's suit to team owner mode now for the final few minutes of practice?
I got my driver's suit on, and I think from between now and after the race, I'll have my driver's suit on, and then we'll change suits again.
Thanks, Mike.
Andretti Green Racing right now, 1, 2, and 3 on the speed chart, 7 and 10. And let's talk about our Indy 500 veterans that are returning this year. Of course, Al Unser Jr., a two-time winner here in 92 and 94. Buddy Lazier in the field as well. In fact, Buddy looking pretty racy out there early in the practice session. And Michael Andretti, of course, still looking for that all-elusive first win.
Marty, one thing I like about Michael Andretti as an owner coming back for this time, he's an owner, and he can get this car and run this car and have a lot of information for his team. That's what's so good about him coming back one time a year, Scott.
He's got great support, and you saw Barry Green with him right there. And Barry was the one that started Green Racing quite a few years ago, and then he's now really sort of semi-retired, and Michael Andretti came in and bought the team along with Kevin Savary and Barry's brother Kim. And as you look at Marco Andretti, he's out of the car now. Everybody's hydrating, and now you're going to have a little understanding like, how is your car working? What's my car doing? And maybe we're going to see some good discussion going on here with these guys.
Marco 10th on the speed chart. As we mentioned, Michael 3rd right now. Let's get caught up with another racing legend name in this field, Anthony Foyt the 4th. And he's with Jim.
Well, Marty, how fitting on the eve of the 50th anniversary of A.J. Foyt at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. His grandson, Anthony Foyt IV, makes his return. Anthony, we didn't see you in the field last year. You kind of took a hiatus from Indycar, went over to NASCAR for a while, and you're back with a new team. How are things going here? It's the first time you've been to Indianapolis not driving for your grandfather.
It's been all right. The month's been going really smooth. It's great. The vision, the team is really doing a lot of things to make this team better. And I'm really excited for race day. We had a pretty good carb day. So, I miss my grandfather and miss driving for him, but I think it's just kind of best for both of us. We're doing our own thing, and their team with ABC Supply is doing very well also.
Now let's talk about you and this team. You have 3 teammates here. Most of the time driving for your grandfather, you were a single car effort. How has it been like for you exchanging the information, and how will that help you for Sunday?
It's been a ton of help for me. Having Thomas and Ed and Thomas is really good on road courses, so he helps me a ton on that. And Ed and Thomas both helped me a ton on these ovals, so it's just been a big advantage to go back there and see what mistakes I'm making, and so I can come back out here and improve them.
Now, I've seen you throughout the weeks going over to your grandfather's garage. What is your relationship like now, Anthony?
Our relationship is great. You know, if I'm not in the Vision garage, I'm always back in my grandfather's garage. It's still the best garage here at Indianapolis. Best stories and the most fun, that's for sure. So it's good to go and be back with him full time and run this full time with the IRL, to be around him more. So it's just great to be back around the family again.
All right, Anthony Foyt IV still holds the record for youngest starter in the Indianapolis 500 field in 2003. And Marty, he makes his 4th start here on Sunday.
And there is Grandpa. And AJ wasn't pleased about something as back to his pit. Here he is, 50 years at Indianapolis, 4 wins, of course, and he was the first of the 3 four-time winners. 35 consecutive starts. That's an all-time lead that it's going to take a long time for somebody to break that one. Led 39 times in 13 races and went halfway around the earth, 12,272 miles in his career here at Indianapolis, and the only driver to win in both rear-engine cars. We're under a yellow condition, and AJ is still letting officials know. And there is another legend of this great speedway, the 69 winner, Mario Andretti. And look at this. We've got all 3 of them together going over the nose. That's a photo op for everybody. I guarantee you there are a bunch of photographers taking that picture. Stay with us. We've got more from Carb Day, the Freedom 100, and the pit stop competition. 10 minutes remaining in the final practice here on Carb Day for the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500. And you can see a good crowd on hand, especially along the pit lane, as they're getting as close as they can to their favorite drivers. And practice has gone back to green flag racing right now. And so far, Tony Kanaan still leading the speed charts at 225.4. That's only 0.4 of a mile an hour under the pole speed turned in by Elio Castroneves. Let's check in once again with Jack Arute.
Well, 5th on that speed chart is the team that Mike Hull from Target Chip Ganassi Racing will be the tactician for on Sunday. And that, of course, is Scott Dixon. And, Mike, you have taken full advantage of this 60 minutes to search for some very, very minute changes and how it reacts to this chassis. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, you work all week, the second week, on race trim. At the beginning of the second week, you're trying to find your way a little bit with the track and all that. So by now, you should be in pretty decent shape for the race. We work on, even this morning in 1 hour, we work on kind of going through all those balance items that we worked on during the week just to see where we are today with today's condition.
The time is running out, though, for that work. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Marco Andretti currently 11th on the speed chart, but you seemed happy with your car. Tell us about how it felt.
Yeah, it was good. We were true to ourselves. You know, we had a lot of laps on the tires. You know, so and I was happy. You know, the balance remained consistent to where it was, you know, last week. So that's all I wanted.
Despite your great finish last year, you're still a relative newcomer. So how important is it just to have a little bit more practice, a little bit more seat time each day?
It's awesome. I mean, you know, mainly, I mean, we just wanted to go out and in an ideal world, we just do a run, and that's what we did. That means the car was right where we wanted it.
A lot of good cars in this Andretti Green Stable, guys. You see Michael Andretti standing here, Tony Kanaan standing here conversing as well. The AGR guys, to a man, have all been pleased thus far with their machines. Jamie Little?
Well, Vince, it's one of the comeback stories, one of the best in sports that I've seen, and that's Davey Hamilton makes his return to Indianapolis for the first time in 6 years. 23 surgeries, a career-ending crash. We thought in 2001, we thought we'd never see you back here. We didn't think we'd see you walk again, Davey. Here you are on bump day, smile on your face. How are things going for you coming back here?
That's great, man. It's a dream come true. I didn't know if I'd come back either, to be honest with you. I was just hoping to walk again. But it's been 6 years of a lot of work, and I feel great. I feel great. Our car is great. It's been a lot of work to get here, but now that I'm here, I'm having the best time of my life, and I couldn't do it without HP, AMD, CyberWise, and Freedom Energy Drink, all the people that joined in, and Tony George with Vision Racing. We're having a great time.
Davey, at 44 years old, why make a comeback now?
Well, you know, just the right time. I tried to maybe a couple years ago, and I've been working on it for a while, but it takes financing to do this thing, and with HP coming aboard initially and making it happen, and I had the proper team, the proper funding, and to be able to do it right, that was the key thing.
The important question, what kind of race car do you have?
You know, I'm pretty happy right there. We're going to run like mid-220s in traffic, actually. The car's stuck down really good. We missed on gearing maybe just a little bit. We'll go back to the garage and evaluate what our gearing is. I think that's as fast as we could go, and I see some guys buzzing some 224s off. So I don't think they can do that in the race, but we're going to evaluate the gears and go from there.
Marty, Davey Hamilton, once a racer, always a racer.
And he's 19th on the speed chart today. Let's take you back to 2 years ago, and this was the horrible moment where everyone was wondering at Texas whether or not Davey would ever walk again.
You know, Marty, in Texas Motor Speedway, with the banking they have, they're 24 degrees. You are flat out all the way around there. So when something goes wrong or cars touch, you become a passenger and you just go along for the ride. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Davey. Now, you can see him getting out of the car, but obviously he knew that he had a lot of lower extremity damage at that point in time. And we really didn't think that he would come back to racing. So great story.
I want to ask you, 23 surgeries, Rusty Wallace. Could you have done it?
I don't know if I could have done that, Marty. I mean, at my age, you know, he's a young guy. He's strong. He's convinced. He loves racing. That is his life. That's his income. That really gave him a lot of motivation to get back in that car quick as he could.
Well, there you see Team Penske. They have said enough is enough. They're ready to go racing. They're heading back towards the garage. Jack?
And the next time that this man will be out on the racetrack, he'll be bringing the field down from the pole position. Elio, what did you learn today?
Well, definitely was. The conditions seem to be very similar to the race. We're trying different levels of downforce, of course. Right now, it's just a matter of a run with a lot of guys. Seems to be that the traffic creates an incredible draft. So even if you have the tallest gear in the pit lane, you still looks like going to be short because of the draft. So it's one of those little small things. We're hopefully going to hit it right. Obviously, the racing, right now we don't have any wind. But if it creates a little bit, that's where you're going to start thinking. But we feel that we have a solid car. I don't think it's the fast, but I think it's good enough to be in the end, and that might have given a chance to win a race.
This is the only race each and every year where the pole sitter finds not one car, but two cars to the left of him. Have you begun to think about what you're going to need to do down into turn number one?
Well, obviously, the good news is it's side by side, so everybody's in the same speed. The bad news is back straight, they're going to be behind me, and the reason I say that, it's because the leader, it won't take long, you know, to lose the lead because of so much draft. And, well, right now, I know the corner of turn one, I'll be doing the turn one. I mean, I'll be in P1, but back there, I don't know what's going to be, but it's going to be fun.
Marty, one of the things a lot of the drivers have told me is if, and I quote, if you see it, you can draft it. That's how big the draft is here at Indy this time around.
That's for sure, as we pointed out on the speeds. There he is. He's fourth fastest today. His teammate Sam Hornish Jr., the seventh. And as we all know, there's only one Elio.
My name is Elio. It's not Helio, it's not Julio, and it's not hello. Elio. Climbing the fence, it's fun. It's a great way of celebration. I love Chantilly, but you guys need to be a little more firm, you know? It's very soft. Japan, it's a tiny little hose that you can put your fingers, but your toes, you're kind of hanging only from the top. I have to say the best one is Indianapolis. Oh, it's firm, it's big holes, you know, it's like a ladder, and well, I hope we'll do it again.
Back here at Indianapolis, last chance to shake your car down before we go racing Sunday in the 91st running of the Indy 500. That's Marty Roth, as we are under 2 minutes remaining. Those still out obviously have some questions to be answered, and I don't know, is Dario wanting a big kiss on the cheek there for running so well? Because Andretti Green's smiling, and there's Scott Dixon, he's smiling as well.
Andretti Green has really turned it around. They got the top three positions right now. Danica Patrick looks happy, not too concerned. Scott Dixon's got a little bit of work to do yet, but I tell you, it's been a great practice session. No bumps, no dents, nobody's in the wall. Everything's smooth right now.
Well, let's check in with Vince.
Tony, you were just talking with Marco, and you guys were talking a lot about the draft. Give us kind of some insight in the difficulties of being in the draft here at Indianapolis.
You shouldn't be hearing that, but, well, we're trying to judge really how much
draft you're going to get in the race, which is almost impossible. You don't know if you're going to be racing 3 cars or 6 cars. So we're just talking about the different experiences we had at the track to try to judge gearing and downforce level, a lot of things that we got to make a decision on.
How quickly can you feel the draft when you're coming behind a car?
Depending on a car, like right away. So sometimes you think you're going to get the guy in the straighter and you get him in the middle of the corner. So it's very hard to judge right now. That's why we got to sit down and talk about it, the 5 of us, to see what we can do.
Thanks, TK. Jack?
Well, Scott Dixon has completed his run on Carb Day, and Scott, on a 1 to 10 basis, where are you?
I think we're pretty good. You know, it's hard to say that you got a 10 because there's a few cars faster.
Well, and a 10
us,
is Weldon. You know, we got to remember you're a 9.
Come on, that's right. But no, it seemed pretty comfortable, especially early on. We could get in close behind cars, pass them. Some other guys look strong out there, but it's so hard to tell on a day like this. I think people run a lot less wing and they go fast. So we just concentrated on making sure the car was comfortable. I was pretty happy. We'll see where it goes.
Well, the checkered flag has come out. The 60 minutes now of green flag practice is over. Between now and the start of the Indianapolis 500, how much do you think about that race?
You think that's all you think about. You know, you've got a lot of appearances and dinners and things to do, and that's tough. But you're constantly in the back of your mind thinking about how you can make the car better, visualizing how the race is going to start, what you're going to do in that situation, and just you're just thinking about it nonstop. There's no way about it.
We'll see you Sunday.
Thank you.
Jamie Little?
Well, Jack, we just made our way through the crowd. All the fans love to see Al Unser back here at Indianapolis. And of all people to drive for, A.J. Foyt. How is that going for you, Al?
Well, we've had a lot of fun this month. It's been exciting. It's been a learning experience for sure. And, you know, the King's working on my car, and that in itself is just fantastic.
So how is he to work with? I want to know. So if you have an idea, how does he take to that?
He takes to it very well. You know, he definitely listens to his drivers. And, you know, we've been working well together. You know, we're a little bit short on speed, but hey, it's 500 miles, and you know, we'll see what happens.
2-time winner, you know how to get it done. But let's talk about this. You have to take the driving suit off. You're going to walk out to the grid. Your son is racing in the Indy Pro Series race. How is that to get out of the car and watch your son race?
A little scary, to be honest. But Al uses his head and does a great job, and so you know, we're hoping for the best for him today.
All right, best of luck to you on Sunday. Let's go to Vince.
Well, guys, there's no driver, I'm sure, that draws any bigger crowd here at Indianapolis than this young lady standing next to me, Danica Patrick. And I want to have Brian Compton, our photographer, get a shot of not only the fans but the photographers. And this is something that Danica faces each and every day, and I think that the month of May maybe is a little more challenging for you than some others, just because of the demands from a media and a fan perspective. But I guess that's a compliment, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't ever get mad because there's fans. I just hope that they understand that sometimes I have bad days, but I always try and do the best I can to make sure that they feel like, you know, they're noticed and they're, you know, that I'm glad they're there. Fans are what makes our sport keep going round and round. If nobody was watching, there wouldn't be any dollars to run races, and then we wouldn't be race car drivers.
How was your day today in this final practice before the race?
I thought it was okay. I think as a team we're pretty strong. We have obviously a lot of good information. I think I ended up 8th or something, and my teammates are like 1, 2, 3, and Marco's right behind me. So overall we're fast. The car felt pretty good. Couple little adjustments I think for race day, but I was able to catch cars and pass them, so that's kind of what you're looking for race day.
In the drivers' meeting today, Brian Barnhart talked about passing zones, being very careful as you go into a corner, trying to pass on a straightaway. Do you believe you're going to be able to do any passing entering the corner, or is it all going to be on that 5/8 straight?
Yeah, that's good. It's probably going to happen on the straights. I think this year, since we're all pretty much in the same cars, we're all running Hondas, and we all have the same tires, and the tires are really consistent this year, that we're not going to see it in the corners, in the short chutes. I don't think there's a big enough speed difference to do that. You know, presumably if you're tight enough on them in 1 or 3, you're probably not going to be completely balanced yourself either. But the only time is sometimes when there's lap traffic and they're really off the pace. But this is a race you got to be smart. It's really silly to try and do it a couple of seconds quicker when you got a whole straight ahead of you. So, I try and play it smart.
If she's there at the end on race day, guys, I don't think there will be any more popular driver on the track from a fan's perspective than Danica Patrick.
Well, Vince, that popular driver is going to have a hard time getting down to her other teammates, and she's actually in a different pit area than the other guys are. Andretti's are all sort of together, and that's going to be interesting on race day to see who they bring in at what particular time. Teams generally like to have everybody from one team all together. Because of the way they qualify, that's when you get a chance to pick your pit spot, guys. And this is going to be a different race because, for instance, you don't even have the two Penske cars together.
Well, and it's because you either have to take your individual time or combined times, and that's why there's some of these splits, because they had to take their individual time to get the better selection. So that's why we're seeing this all spread out. There's no undercurrents underneath all this. There is Michael and Marco heading back. Stay with us. We've still got a lot more. The weather has been perfect the whole month of May, and the fans have turned out in droves for Carb Day, and we just concluded the last practice before the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500. And let's take a look at the speed chart, show you the top 11. And what jumps out at you first is Andretti Green, 1, 2, 3, and all 5 cars in the top 11.
And Jacques Lazier, what a great job he has done. We'll have to see if that's a true speed that he's going to be able to have on race day. He has only one win in the series so far, and that's back in Chicago in 2001.
Well, Sam Hornish is the guy I'm looking at right now. Roger Penske brought him in to do a practice wind change. They aborted that because they were concerned about the car, so they're still looking for speed, it looks like.
All right, in the middle 11, obviously Dan Weldon probably the biggest surprise there in the 13th spot. And then as we go through to the final page, some speeds really jump out as Al Unser only at 2:17 and 31, and Milka Duno, that's very slow.
Well, I'm concerned for her. 211 miles an hour. She actually needs to find some more speed to be able to keep up to race pace. There's no doubt about it. She'll start in the middle of row 10 on race day. A big learning curve in front of her, guys, when she takes the green flag.
And that was her fastest of 32 laps on the track. Jack Arute, bring us up to speed. What's happening down there?
Well, Marty, for the next 48 and a half hours, this race car and all 32 others like it will be sitting in the garage. They will not be at rest, though. The garage doors will be open. There'll be thousands of fans that'll be taking pit tours. But these teams and these drivers, while they're in their motorhome, as Scott Dixon said, not thinking about anything other than the Indy 500, their crews will be going over these cars with a fine-tooth comb, literally checking every single nut and bolt. Not because they're not certain that they are ready to race, but for fear that they have missed something. The 30 days of May can take an awful lot out of drivers. It can take an awful lot out of teams. It can take an awful lot out of car owners. But I think the 30 days of May, Vince Welch, is what makes the Indianapolis 500 stand alone among sporting events.
No question, Jack, winning the Indianapolis 500 is a life-changing moment, and you see the two names, in fact, all three names there at the top of the speed chart today for practice: Tony Kanaan, Dario Franchitti, Michael Andretti, all three of them seeking their first win here at Indianapolis. And Marty and Scott and Rusty noted that the 3 Andretti green cars are 1, 2, 3. That is a bit of a surprise, and you can make sure that the other teams in the garage area are noticing that as well. It's a time a year or so ago when Andretti Green was considered to be a team that didn't really have the horsepower to compete on the ovals, the speed to compete with the Penskes and the Ganassis. But I don't think there's any question that Andretti Green did its homework in the offseason, and they have proven once again here today in this final practice before Sunday's race that this team has the speed to compete with the Ganassis and the Penskes, the so-called red cars, if you will, to win this race on Sunday. Another thing that I think is interesting is that Dario Franchitti ran 34 laps today, and that was the second most of any driver on the track. And when he got out of his car, he had a smile on his face. That's a good sign for this team on the long runs come Sunday.
All right, thanks, guys. And of course, you'll see everything on the starting grid happen when pole sitter Helio Castroneves leads the field to the green flag in the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500. The Indianapolis 500 telecast presented by GoDaddy.com on ABC Sunday. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. But you don't want to leave us because it's not the only race here at the Speedway. We're getting ready for another one. How about it, Jamie Little?
That's right, Marty Reed. It's time for the Indy Pro Series race. You know, this is like the stepping stone to the IndyCar Series. And since its inception in 2002, we've seen hundreds maybe of graduates that have gone on to other series, most notably the Indycar Series. Now in Sunday's Indianapolis 500, 7 graduates of this race, the Indy Pro Series, are competing. Now, some of the Indycar owners are even taking notice of this series. Most notably, this year, Chip Ganassi has gotten involved, as well as Panther Racing. Now, another owner who's fielding a car in the Indy 500 this year, and he's been dominant in this series, is Sam Schmidt. Brian Pedigo standing by with his driver.
Well, his driver is actually still making his way down to the track. I'm standing in front of his car right here on pit lane. But Alex Lloyd, Sam Schmidt's driver, has been eyed by some pretty heavy hitters in open wheel racing, from Formula One even to our own IndyCar Series, and for very good reason. Lloyd has won every single race so far this season. He has mastered the road course here at Indianapolis, but he's yet to win on the famed 2.5-mile oval. Will today be his day? Can Lloyd make it 4 in a row? Well, we'll find out soon.
Checkered flag comes out. Alex Lloyd wins. Double checkers wave, and Alex Lloyd has won his second race of the year. Alex Lloyd is going to win his 3rd consecutive Indy Pro Series race.
We've had a good start. It's gone perfectly, really. I mean, we came into the first few races knowing that a good result in the first 3 was very key to the championship. It's important for me to try and do the best job I can, so I know there's a lot of people watching this year, so to start off the way we have is a perfect situation for me. I really want to step up the IndyCar Series. My first time I ever watched Indy 500 was last year, and I watched that race and very quickly decided that I want to be racing in Indy 500 and I want to win this race more than anything. Indy? We came to Indianapolis with 2 suitcases each, and we got married. As a European driver especially, coming over and getting married in Indianapolis, one of the most famous places in motorsport, was quite a special thing. We bought our first house here in Indianapolis, and it's really just been going better and better and better. We've even named one of our dogs Indy. It was a big move for me to come over here for racing and move away, but it was a much bigger move for my wife Sam, really, because I've got to go over here for my racing. This is something I've been working on, and she decided that, I want to come with you and we'll make this work together. And to have a girl that will move over across the world and give up everything that she's been doing to follow my career, that's something pretty cool. I just love the place. I love being near the speedway. I love being a part of the racing community over here. I feel more at home than I ever did in England. It just seems to have been a lucky place, and I wanted to stay around this as much as possible.
And there is Alex as he's making his way down towards the front of the starting grid. He'll be on the outside of row number 1. And as we take a look at his pro career, 13 starts, 5 wins. You take that win percentage any chance you could, wouldn't you, Scott Goodyear?
Absolutely. And he obviously has a great shot today, but one thing I do have to think about is that the situation is, yes, everybody's looking at you here, and if you win, you're in front of the world. But if you make a mistake, it's also a highlight, guys.
Well, and he's on the outside of row number 1. It's a good spot.
It's a great spot. He's won all the races, and just like Scott said, he's got the world looked at him. All the car owners are here. They can't wait to see how this race is going to turn out and look for new talent.
But there is one thing he needs to think about. The winner of this race has always come from pole. Stay with me. Wins in 3 tries has made 2007 Indy Pro Series season the Alex Lloyd Show. Today at the Brickyard, Lloyd looks to tie a series record with his 4th straight victory. Future stars of IndyCar shine on Carb Day. The Indy Pro Series Freedom 100 is next. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Carb Day may be over, but the action certainly is not. The largest field ever here for the Freedom 100. 40 laps. This is a sprint race, folks. It's not 500 miles. It's 100 miles, and it's the fastest man to the stripe that will win it. Is it going to be Alex Lloyd? Well, the fact is he has to be the pre-race favorite. He's won every single race so far this year, but the history of this event is that the pole sitter has always been the winner. But here's the thing that stands out. Out of the 24 drivers, Rusty, 15 are rookies. It's got to be a lot of nerves.
Oh, a lot of them are rookies out there, Marty, and they're all looking around trying to do the best job they possibly can because all the car owners are looking, the fans are looking, and they're at the biggest speedway, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
You know something I think about when I was driving these type of races in front of a Formula One crowd back in Montreal? As you mentioned, Rusty, you know the team owners are looking at you, and the key thing is you want to make a good impression. But you also know that if you make a mistake, that's a bad impression. But no different than the big cars. These guys have to make sure they have the gear ratios right, the drafting down, and they can't make a mistake because they have to be there to win at the end.
Well, let's check in down pit lane. First up, Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, big surprise on the pole here. A 46-year-old rookie, Ken Losh. He's a real estate developer from Phoenix. Showed up here at Indianapolis. His first ever time running here, he got the pole. You see him in the cockpit right there. I asked him, what is your strategy running down to that green flag for the first time ever? He said, win. I said, do you have the car to do it? He said, we sure do. Nothing like confidence to take you into turn one as a rookie. Brienne?
Well, the guys mentioned that there are 15 rookies in today's field. Now, it's one thing to make your very first IPS start, but it's quite another to do that at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that's exactly what two of the drivers will do here today. Shane Yancey and the 6 you see right now of Mark Williams. Now, that car, the number 6, had to undergo some suspension repairs yesterday after Williams got it a little bit tangled in the fence during a practice. But I can tell you that when the 18-year-old climbed in that cockpit, he had a big smile on his face, and he can't wait for that green flag.
All right, thanks, ladies. I think we've made a little history of our own. We have our first 2 female reporters covering the same race. So congratulations, girls. As the cars roll out, they'll be on the first of 3 pace laps. We're going to step aside just for a matter of moments. But when we come back, we'll be going racing here at Indianapolis. With 1 lap to go before we go green here at the Freedom 100, let's set this 24-car field for you. There you see the front row. We've talked about both of those gentlemen, Ken Losh and Alex Lloyd.
Row 2, we got Heidi Mututo, Mike Potekin.
And on row 3, Wade Cunningham and Logan Gomez. And you know something, guys, as we watch the grid roll through here, there's a lot of things that these drivers are going to experience here today, much like the Indycar drivers did. And we talked a little bit on the opening just about gear ratios and drafting and all that sort of thing. And that's exactly what they had to get right in their final practice also. To see Allenser Jr. the 3rd. We know that Allenser Jr. himself will be out here watching his son go around and hopefully get a victory here. But aero balance is so important. The drafting is so important here. All the things that you learn in a big car are what these guys are really focusing on right now in this junior formula with the Indy Pro Series, because it's the same sort of things and diligence that they have to be able to make sure they go fast in the big stuff.
Well, Scott, you know, every single race here at Indianapolis so far has been run by the pole. Ken Losh is on the front row right now, but Alex Lloyd has won all the races. So Lloyd's definitely going to try to outrun him getting their turn 1.
All right, as they come out of turn number 4, they'll form up 80 feet approximately between the rows. You'll hear the command and the green flag, and we will be underway here at Indianapolis.
Green flag, starter, green flag.
With the Freedom 100.
There's a penalty right there, guys.
And just what they were talking about in the drivers' meeting, patience, patience, patience. And we have none of it at the very beginning of the race, although we are still green.
Well, Marty, it's a penalty for the 27 of Wade Cunningham because you are not allowed to pass before you get to the start line on the initial start. Restarts is something different, so we'll have to see if they go ahead and penalize him.
And Wade Cunningham is our winner at this race last year. So as the caution has come out, the cars start to check up. So everybody will slow down and we'll get things sorted out. And the very thing they talked about in the drivers' meeting, Wade Cunningham, of all people, is the one who pulls it off. I would have expected a rookie.
A rookie, especially when you have the 15 rookies here in this field. And you know something, the John Lewis said this morning, he was very specific about it. He had one of the best drivers meetings I think I've ever attended in this Pro Series. And I said to him afterward, I said, man, that is really laid out well. These guys should know what's going on. But in the situation there, as you can see some damage, that is a situation where that should not happen. You don't win this race on the first turn or the first lap, and it's one of the things that actually they said. Now, on your right-hand side of the screen, you can see the 27. It looks to me like he may have actually passed before he got to the start line, and then he goes and crowds everybody because he's trying to get himself into the middle of the track to enter into turn 1.
And that's Mike Potikin that he gets into in the 53 car, and it just clips the front wing. Here it is from a different angle.
But guys, he pulled out 3 wide, clipped the whole thing. In fact, look at that, Marty. Watch this debris getting ready to go up and close right there. Slams up against the car behind him. But Scott, it looks like he didn't take the lead at the start-finish line, but he did pull out to make the pass.
Well, that's going to be something that's going to be at the discretion for the IRL officials for the Indy Pro Series here.
Now, this is not an easy change, unlike an Indycar where they're used to doing a lot of pit stops. Normally, if you pit, you lose. And notice that they have to, each individual nut has to be taken off, and now here comes the other one.
You know, and here's a situation where they actually end up having just the power gun to help the system with that, but it's a long delay.
All right, so we're going to step aside. We're under our first caution on lap number 1. Alex Lloyd has the lead here at Indy. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the Freedom 100 as we are under our first caution. We're getting ready for a restart. And there is Hideki Muto. He had to come into the pits, and I think it was because of, yes, take a look. He had a tire that was cut in that contact from the first lap incident in the straightaway.
You know, this is very different than the Indycar Series. All these guys have to do this by hand. On the Indycar Series, obviously, you go out there with the air tools, you take those wheel nuts off, and then you get the pit stop done a lot quicker, Marty.
Green flag flies. We're back racing. All the cars, all 24, are still on the lead lap. We can tell you Wade Cunningham is at the rear of the field. So is Mike Potikin and Hideki Muto. And once the green flag flies now, you can pass anywhere.
Anytime you see the green flag or you hear it over the radio system where it's green, even if you are further back into the turn, back to turn 4, you are allowed to pass anywhere on the race course once it's green on the restart.
Well, Hideki Muto and Wade Cunningham coming from the back of the pack, they're really going to have to rely on the draft to get them back up to the front of this field with only it being a 40-lap race.
You see the 5 right there. That's Andrew Prendeville as he's trying to get a nose in underneath. He's got the low line but can't complete the pass. Meanwhile, the front 2 are starting to pull away. Got a big gaggle in the middle of this field.
And that's what I love about these cars, guys, you know, because they actually are a little bit slower than the Indy cars. These guys can run 2 side by side going through the turn. There's lots of cars, lots of drafting going on. But as we see right now, squeezing down towards the wall, this is a situation where the wheels are getting very close. Still going into turn 1, driven down towards the grass. Still going down to turn 1, and here we go.
Hang on.
Hangs on to it. Man, that guy gets a star award, Rusty.
And I never see an Indy car get loose. We've got a caution on the track right now, but that was an unbelievable save right there. He was completely dead sideways and gathered that thing back up.
And did you notice the 27 right there going through your screen? He managed to pick up about 5 spots so far. Unbelievable action here early in lap 5 of 40 in the Freedom 100.
And that's what Cunningham needed, and that's what Hideki Muto needed too, to get caught back up to the field and knock some of these positions out, Marty.
And now you can see the right rear flat is going to end up what's going to happen in this situation with Ryan Justice. Watch this. The front wing is just going to slice the back of the tire. The wing goes in the air. He slices that right rear tire on the 38 car of Ryan Justice, and that's what causes him to go sideways. And that is the save of the day, or the save of the year, really, because remember, that's going at about 175, 80 miles an hour. There's that right rear tire that's flat. You can see it's soft, and that's why his left front's sort of in the air a little bit. There again, try to stay in the lead lap. Come into the pit lane. Don't go over the pit speed limit. There again, the guys have to use manual tools to get this tire changed, and hopefully he can get back up to the tail end of the pack before it goes back to green.
Well, that was hard to believe how that wing just barely got that right rear tire and sliced it down just like that. It wasn't a slow leak. It blew that baby out immediately.
Oh, and it turned it sideways, and he's in a situation where he thought, what is this all about?
So you can see as he works his way into pit lane, he'll try and stay on the lead lap. But meanwhile, we'll tell you, Wade Cunningham moved up to 19th on that restart. We're going to keep an eye on him. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we are under our second caution, and this is Bobby Wilson's team, and they've got a major issue.
And this is a major issue. This is panic. This is actually not having the wing actually pre-fitted to the car, as we were talking about Rusty on break. He just went down a lap. It should have been as simple as coming in and taking the front wing off and then turning around and putting a new one on, but that's not what ended up happening. Here's the situation when you're third on the high side and the car comes down just in front of you, like we saw there on the 38 with Ryan Justice. It cut his right rear tire, sent Ryan Justice sideways, We said that was the save of the day, absolutely. And here's the situation, which is the end result of it, with Bobby Wilson not getting the wing on the car, and now it's coming to green flag, and there we go.
And we had one car that just was like snail's pace. That was our pole sitter, Ken Losh. He just got snookered on the restart, and he is heading for pit lane. So there's obviously a problem with our pole sitter.
Well, this will be the race where the pole sitter will not end up winning the event here. That's the first in history.
And Ken Losh just got done telling everybody, I got a great car. It still feels good. He's behind Alex Lloyd at that point. It all goes this way.
And what it's done, Alex has just checked out, got great action on behind him. As there you can see a pass going down the back straightaway. The 34 of John Brownson trying to get around.
Well, if anybody's going to catch Alex Lloyd, Marty, they got to get the job done now. Whether you got to go 2 wide, 3 wide, whatever it takes, because this cat's going to run away and get away from everybody.
Oh, and now Wade Cunningham. Remember, he had moved to the back of the field. Now he has a cut right rear tire, so his day is going to be over because we're going to stay green.
Well, interesting to note, I wonder if that's actually from contact with another car or if that's maybe some debris on the course from one of these previous incidents that we had.
We'll have to wait and see. No yellow out as far as a debris caution, so the racing continues here at Indianapolis in the Freedom 100. And there is Cunningham. He may bring out the yellow because he's not going to make it to the pits.
Now, if he tries to go much faster, his tire is going to shred.
Watch this. See the guys coming from the back just fan out. They're so close to the car in front, and they turn around and fan out. I've had this situation before. You're looking in your mirror saying, guys, I hope you're watching. You hope the spotters who are up top are telling them, hey, slow car on the backstretch.
Well, he's made it no problem getting in. And as you can see, Wilson's going to have to take this car back behind the wall. It's not going to get fixed in time.
Jamie, what's going on with the one car?
Well, Bobby Wilson, guys, third in points. His problems just keep getting worse. He came in with that broken nose. The team had not fit the nose that you talked about. Then he stalled the car trying to exit. The team ran him down pit road trying to get her restarted. Did not work. They have to back the car all the way up, guys. I think his day is almost done.
Well, he's already 4 laps down. Meanwhile, on the left side of the screen, you saw the big gap between Alex Lloyd in first and the 9 car Chris Vesta in second. One guy we got to give a tip of the hat is third place, the number 11 of Jaime Camara. He has moved up to third, and if you remember, he started this race way back in the 18th position. Meanwhile, there's Wade Cunningham, the defending event winner here, struggling his way back to pit lane. He is already 3 laps down, about to go 4. Also on the right side, Ken Losh, as they continue to work on that car.
Well, Marty, you talk about the 11 of Camara. It's interesting to note, though, one of his really mentors, if you will, is Tony Kanaan. And he spends a lot of time with Tony. Tony really helps manage his career a little bit, so not surprising to see that actually he's come through the field and he's good on starts and restarts, because that's one of Tony's strong traits that Tony has.
I think Brienne's finally been able to catch up and find out what happened with our pole sitter.
Well, guys, they are still trying to figure out what caused this car to die. Ken Losh was barely going to make it into his pit stall as he just coasted down pit lane. The car completely died on him. They checked the power switch. That didn't seem to be the problem. They've taken out the side pods, the cover to the engine, and they have yet to figure out what caused the problem. But even if they got that figured out, Losh said the gears are completely messed up, so things don't look good for Ken Losh.
So, in essence, he went from penthouse to outhouse, and Wade Cunningham is out of the car, and there he is. And I'm sure he is not going to be thrilled at all as the helmet comes off. Meanwhile, another car slowing down.
Yeah, Sean Guthrie blew a right front tire out. Now he's slowing down, trying to get back to pit road. That tire's just about ready to come apart.
And Guthrie was 5th at the time that this happened. So again, another shakeup near the front.
Well, you can see the crinkling of the sidewall of the tire, and you can certainly see it visually, and actually in a race car you can feel it before you'll ever see it. But again, I'm starting to wonder, we've had a couple of incidents now, do we have a situation where there is some debris in the course given these flats, guys?
All right,
or was it a mistake here? Let's wait and see.
Yellow car, top of your screen, and that's the problem. When you scrape the wall, you have a tendency to do some damage.
Well, I'm wondering if the tire is actually soft before that, because the car is not turning for him going up towards the wall. See how much the tire is turned? The tire is soft, guys, before he goes into turn.
Good observation, Scott. Lap 15 of 40, and it has been event-filled. We've spent more time patrolling pit lane than we have out on the track. Let's set the top 5 for you. It's Alex Lloyd in front of Chris Festa by 2 seconds. Then it's Jaime Camara, Matt Yaskell, Andrew Prendeville. That is your top 5 here at the Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Stay with it. After 15 of 40 laps here in the Indy Pro Series, the Freedom 100 here on Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It has been event-filled as Alex Lloyd, who's won every race so far this year, all 3 of them, both road course and oval. There he is. Coming through is second place, Chris Festa. If that paint scheme with the number 9 looks familiar, and you say, man, that looks like Chip Ganassi Racing, you'd be right, Jamie Little.
That's right. Just to prove how much momentum this Indy Pro Series is gaining, Chip Ganassi has 8 cars racing this weekend. 3 in the Cup Series, 2 in the Busch Series. He has 2 in the Indy 500, and this is his first year with a car in the Indy Pro Series. Chip, first time we've seen you in Indy up here on the box for the Indy Pro Series race. You guys are running second. What is it about this series we're seeing you guys get more involved?
Well, you know, it's just Chris is doing a good job driving the cars. A couple people fell out in front of him. He made up 2 spots on the restart, so that's about where we are. We got a little more downforce on the lead car right now, and that third place car is giving us a little run right now, but we should be all right. We got a long way to go.
Is this perhaps a good series for you to see the up-and-coming talent? Maybe Chris Festa could end up in one of your IndyCar cars one day?
Never know. Maybe one of these days he could. I'm not sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, he's up there for Eagles, guys. He's running second. They want to get that first win for Chip Ganassi Racing.
And while you were talking to Chip, Andrew Prendeville in the number 5 car moved up to 4th place. And you wanted to talk about the connection between the Indy Pro Series and the IndyCar Series. Take a look at this from Andretti Green, Chip Ganassi's team, Panther Racing, Ray Hall Letterman, Playa Dell, and Sam Schmidt, and Sam Schmidt's team out front.
You know, as we talked about, 7 drivers have graduated from the IndyCar Series, the Pro Series itself, actually up to the IndyCar Series, and some great battling side-by-side going on now. And that's what the team owners are looking for, drivers that have the experience on the oval, so when they put them into an oval situation in IndyCar, it's not all brand new for them.
Wow, side by side through the corners, and we're talking about speeds in the neighborhood of 185 miles an hour, and both cars stuck.
And that's the one thing I like about this series, Marty. These guys can run side by side through the corners. You don't see it that much in the IndyCar Series. The cars are going so fast, not much grip, but these cars, a lot more grip.
Well, and that was the 53 of Mike Potikin. Remember, Potikin was at the dead back of this field. That pass right there moved him up to the 10th spot.
You talk about the difference in the cars, and that's the interesting thing. Remember, it's about 40 miles an hour difference, so still a great training ground for these drivers, but they're doing it at a slower speed, so if they do make a mistake, then you end up being able to maybe not hit the wall as hard.
Take a look at Jonathan Klein as he is in this car for the first time. Started 24th, has moved himself into the 8th position, and we're halfway through this race. At that pace, he may be able to catch up to the leaders.
Right now, I'm taking a look at Alex Lloyd and Chris Festa as we're watching Jonathan Klein. Their speeds are almost identical, so Alex Lloyd and Festa, bumper to bumper in speed. But right now, Klein, he is looking real good, too. I mean, his last lap was just a little over 186 miles an hour, very close to the top 2 leaders.
And Andrew Prendeville, while all this is going on, continues to march forward in this race.
You know, we talk about the difference in these cars all the time. You know, the Indy cars with the Honda engines are 650 plus horsepower. These guys are dealing with about 420 horsepower. So, as I mentioned, the difference in speed of 40 miles an hour, and that's one of the reasons why you end up finding that speed. And the cars themselves are a little bit different. The tires are a little bit smaller. The cars are a little bit smaller.
Take a look at Andrew Prendeville right now. This kid is on the move. He's one of our rookies. He has worked himself up to 3rd. Look at his last lap at 186.2. Alex Lloyd, of course, has tried to check out on the field, but Prendeville keeps picking everybody off position by position here on lap 21 of 40.
Well, Marty, he's just outrun Chris Festa by over a mile per hour, so he's definitely running him down right now. He's matched the speed of leader Alex Lloyd, so he's definitely got a good car. It's handling well through the corners, good straightaway speed. If we get another caution flag and these guys get bunched back up, This 5 car of Andrew Pettival could be right there.
That's what I was just going to ask you, Rusty. What, as a driver in that situation, you know you got a fast car. What are you hoping for? You're hoping for a yellow.
You're hoping for a yellow. That's exactly right. Get me back in the ball game, guys.
And Prendeville drives for Ray Hall Letterman Racing. Hey, we've caught up with last year's winner, Wade Cunningham.
That's right, guys. Wade, unfortunately, a cut tire has ended your day here today. What happened? How did your tire get cut out there?
Well, it really started right at the start of the race. We got a great start, but the officials deemed that we jumped it, so they put us to the back. And when you're back there, stupid stuff happens. And we were coming up for the restart, and whoever's behind me just drove into my right rear and cut it. So that was us done.
So what were the conditions like on the track? We were wondering if maybe there's some debris out there, or what the conditions are like out there.
Oh, the track's better than it was yesterday when we qualified. So, you know, it should have been a good race. I'm just disappointed I'm not in it.
Thanks, Wade.
All right, thanks for the update as you see the battle closing in for second and third as this battle continues to get a little closer. In fact, it's only a touch under a second between second and third.
Already when, you know, Wade's talking about the track being better. Remember, the Indycars just ran earlier today in their final run before the race, so there's lots of rubber in the track and lots of grip, and that's what these guys sort of love about it, is that they follow the Indycar series, get to watch the cars out in the racetrack and get on the track directly after them. The track is really probably in prime condition right now.
That was Alex Lloyd putting the 3-car of Jaeger a lap down. Now there is his wife. If you were with us at the beginning of our segment, we showed you how they had made the move over here to the States, and she came along with him. And there goes Prendeville in the 5-car. He's now moved up to second, guys. So Prendeville, who started 10th, is now second.
And he's got the lead down to just about 2.6 seconds, so he's chipping away at it right now. So does he have enough time to be able to get it done and get caught back up to the tail end of Alex Lloyd? And they, like I always say, catching up is one thing, but being able to pass is another. But right now he seems to be able to run at least at the same pace, or maybe even a little bit faster than Alex Lloyd.
Well, right now we got to race again, because Andrew Pettival, that last lap, guys, was almost 2 miles an hour faster than Alex Lloyd, so he's definitely running Lloyd down. And I think he's got a little draft advantage right there with Chris Festa helping him.
Well, remember what Chip Ganassi said. He said the 9-car that they have, Chris Festa was running too much downforce on the car, so that means the car in front now is probably going to give him an opportunity to draft, which he's doing at this point in time. But you got to think about it a little bit. Right now, with Andrew Prendeville being a little bit quicker than me, maybe we should just go nose to tail and work in unison, even though we're not teammates, to run up and catch Alex Lloyd before he gets away too far, and then maybe I'll have the opportunity to improve my position.
Well, they better get back in line right now, because that side-by-side run they're doing, the leader's just going to run away. So they got to get in a tight draft, hook up, run this cat back down, and get right on the bump on Lloyd. If they don't do that, Lloyd's just going to drive off.
See, in the interval that we see right there between first and then going to the group that's second and third right now, Prendeville and Festa, you know, this is one thing where the team managers and also the spotters can help these drivers and give them that information. Remember, they're new to this. A lot of these drivers in their early 20s, this is a big event for them, and they're not sort of thinking about teamwork and that sort of thing at this time, Marty.
Well, one of the most successful owners in this Indy Pro Series is Sam Schmidt. His man's out in front right now, Jamie.
And Alex Lloyd, first time driving for Sam Schmidt. Sam, we're watching Alex just checked out from the start of the race. What has he been like working with this year? It's the second year in the Indy Pro Series and he's dominated, winning every single race.
Well, it's a total dream season so far. I mean, hopefully we can end this deal today, too, and get that championship trophy back here that we missed up here last year. But he's totally committed, totally dedicated. He's in the shop every other day. He's just trying to make the car faster. He's a total package for sure.
Now you're running in the Indy 500 on Sunday with Buddy Lazier, a proven champion. How important has it been for you to mesh these two series and change information and have your young drivers work with Buddy?
Well, I think you're seeing it here today. Both Logan and Alex Alex is just out there saving his tires, and Logan's getting a real good learning session here today. So I think that interaction with Buddy on a daily basis has been good for the team, been good for them, their maturity level. I mean, clearly they both learned a lot from it.
Sam Schmidt, such an inspirational story, guys. Has his hands full here. He wants to see his driver bring home a win here in Indianapolis.
Well, so far he's doing just fine. Thank you very much. Alex Lloyd out in front by 3.5 seconds over Chris Festa, Andrew Prendeville, Jaime Camara, and Jasko. That's the 5 that are leading. But Alex Lloyd is in control. Does he make it 4 in a row and tie a series record? Stay with us and find out. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as you can take a look at Alex Lloyd, this is what he's trying to accomplish. If he wins here today, and he's in control right now by 3.6 seconds, he would tie Thiago Medeiros for consecutive wins in the series. And you can see P.J. Chesson, who's running the Indy 500. Mark Taylor also have 3. Do you know who snapped the streak for Thiago Medeiros? It was the late Paul Dana.
Excellent driver. Now, you talked about Thiago Medeiros, and that's the year that he went on to win the championship in 2004. And the team that he was driving for, Sam Schmidt Motorsports.
All right, let's drop back a little bit and pick up on the 11 car, as there is Jaime Camara. And you can see he has fallen back. He is in 4th place, and Michael Andretti, the owner of that car, and Brianne has caught up with him.
Guys, we talked about the IndyCar Series team looking into the Indy Pro Series as a development series. Michael, tell me how important the Indy Pro Series is as a development series for IndyCar.
Well, I think it's important. You know, it's not only great for training drivers, but it's great for training, you know, mechanics and also teams, you know, to hopefully make it up one day. And I think it's great how strong that the series is coming. So it's a good sign for the future.
Now, we talked about your son as a former graduate of this series and now one of the front runners in the IndyCar Series. What are your thoughts on Jaime's future as a racer?
I have high hopes for Jaime in the future. You know, we're watching him real close, and you know, look at what he did today. You know, we had a problem in qualifying with his car, and you know, in about 4 laps he was up to 4th or 5th, so pretty good.
Thanks, Michael.
And we have caution on the race course. As you can see, Joey Scorallo in the 15 has come to a stop. Looks like some bald spots on the tires, flat spots there, especially on the left front. It's going down. Don't see a lot of damage to the car. This is another one of the Rahal Letterman entries.
May have been in a situation where he actually, because of traffic, got himself in the wrong spot on the racetrack, and it looks like he's locked the wheels up, and that was the only reason for that hole in that Firestone tire, because what did you end up doing generally is locking them up. We'll see if we have a replay that maybe that can show it for us, and here we go. Oh, there's the incident. 2 cars touching, and he gets his foot on the brake. See, he's locked up that left front tire, and the tire is just, because it's only the thickness of a credit card, because they're not used here, obviously, as we do with road cars. They're very thin tires. That tire will actually just disintegrate like it did, and that's a big hole through there, guys. There's no air left there.
Rusty, I'm amazed because it does, looking at that car right now, it didn't look like it had that much impact, and I was expecting more damage after we saw that replay.
Well, Marty, when he bumped together coming down the back straightaway, you notice it. He went off to the right, and the weight transfer of that car shifted all over to the left front tire. There was no weight much, and when he locked those tires up, it blew that left front tire up. But that was caused from weight transfer as he was steering away from the other car on the back straightaway. But pretty good slam.
Well, we're under our 3rd caution here on lap 32 of 40, and the Delphi safety crew is going to be working pretty quickly here to get this cleaned up so we can go back to green flag racing for the last few laps.
You know, the interesting thing is now going to become a shootout here for the last 3 or 4 laps, whatever we get when we go back to green flag racing, because now obviously the car's going to be bunched up, and Alex Lloyd is going to look in his mirrors and see Chris Festa and Andrew Prendeville, and in the situation it's going to become a bit of a shootout and a run down to turn 1 when they get the green.
Yeah, he loses that 3.6 second lead that he was comfortably in control over Chris Festa. And as far as Andrew Prendeville, maybe that's the opening he's looking for. There you see him, the rookie, in 3rd place, our highest running rookie. And that's after 32 of 40 laps, as we are under yellow for the 3rd time here at the Freedom 100 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And there's Chris's wife, or Alex's wife, hoping for another win. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we are under our 3rd caution after Joey Scorallo managed to slide up against the wall after some contact. He's okay. The car's out of contention. The lights are out on the pace car, so it means we're going to go back to green flag racing. We're working lap 35 of 40, so this is going to turn into a real shootout. Now, Alex Lloyd has one advantage at the front of the pack, guys. There is a lap car in second place, Sean Guthrie. That's that yellow machine you see there. And then the 9 car is second place, Chris Festa, followed by Prendeville in third. So big advantage for Lloyd.
And this creates problems for a second and third place because essentially the go zone is actually down towards turn 3, which we see off the horizon there, 3 and 4. And what's going to end up happening is that he'll get stuck behind Sean Guthrie possibly in those turns before they get to the long 5/8 of a mile straightaway to maybe get a chance to get past him.
Jamie, you got an interesting story on what Chris Festa is going to be doing on Sunday?
That's right. It's all about the developmental series. So these guys are working with the Indycar Series drivers and learning as they go. So right now, the spotter for Chris Festa is Packy Glenn Wheeler. He's also the spotter for Scott Dixon. Well, on Sunday, Chris Festa will change his hat, and he will be a spotter for Scott Dixon for the Indy 500, and the green flag is out.
And that's because you need 2 spotters here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One in turns 1 and one in turn 3. And green flag comes out. And Guthrie does the nice thing and gets out of the way, but Alex Lloyd still puts the hammer down and has already opened up about 6 car lengths.
Well, Chris Festa just broke loose too. He just got out in front. He's got a good run right now. I was worried about him get behind Sean Guthrie, but Guthrie moved out of the way.
Did you see Jaime Camara? I thought he hit the wall in the 11 car.
So tucked up behind the tail end of Chris Festa, probably had just a lot of push coming off the turn, and there you can see.
We've got caution on the racetrack, and the word is we have had our first rain shower here in, what, 3 weeks?
Yes.
So they're going to slow this field down with 4 laps to go. Now the question will be, do they bring it to a halt so that we can try and get this done under green, or are we going to do this one under yellow?
I can tell you, as you see the yellow lights flashing in the back of those cars, just an indicator for all the drivers that they see in the car in front. And here's a situation Alex Lloyd thinks. I think it's just going to be a situation where it's going to be yellow all the way to the end, and that's what he wants. Certainly because he knows he's going to have the opportunity to win this thing if it does stay yellow.
So, with 3 laps officially to go, Alex Lloyd in control. This would be his 4th win of the year. Wife Sam is very happy if it does occur this way. Although we'll wait for official word from Indy Pro Series officials.
And Chris Festa, on the other hand, what he's looking forward to is an opportunity not to have that lap car in front. And you can see with Chip Ganassi taking off his headgear, I guess maybe he believes it's over too, but I'd love to see this in a shootout, guys. 2-lap shootout, boy, that would have just been absolutely great.
Yeah, so would I, especially the way Jaime Camara was trying to get back into the mix there in 3rd place behind Festa, and then our leader, Alex Lloyd. Now, the other winners of this race, Ed Carpenter. Yes, you'll see him Sunday in the Indianapolis 500. He won in 2003. Thiago Medeiros in 04. Jaime Camara, man in 3rd place right now in 05. Wade Cunningham last year. Look at Sam. Sam saying, oh, we can't get these last laps out of the way fast enough. As there you see, he has 3 cars in this race. There's also the Indy Pro Series runs the F1 weekend. And in 2006, guess who won that race, guys, here at the road course? Alex Lloyd. So he was actually 2 in a row here. Let's check in with Jamie. I think she's with Sam.
Well, I'm not sure if Sam Schmidt wants to count his chickens before they're hatched. Right now, I see your team has been celebrating. Sam, Alex's wife, is celebrating. What do you think, Sam?
This is Indy. I'm not celebrating until I see that checkered, and the rain just stopped, so I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys do a green white checker, but he's done a hell of a job no matter what. Thanks to Lucas Oil, I just let everybody for putting this thing together, because doing the IndyCar, it's all the same guys working on these 3 cars for IndyCar, so it was quite the circus this morning with Carb Day, and if we can come away with a win today, it'd be really special.
I got good news for you. Race control just said it's yellow to the end. Congratulations.
My God, they finally made a smart decision right now. Cut that.
But he's got to finish. He's got to keep all 4 wheels on.
He's still got to come across the checkered, and you'll see a pretty big celebration when we get that done. I got Forrest Lucas over here. He hasn't won here yet in his car, so he's a pretty good day.
Tell me what kind of information you're going to take from today, maybe, and take it to Sunday for Buddy Lazier to try to win here again.
I'll tell you the truth, we've been learning from Buddy. I mean, this is 15th time, and he went out first session this morning. He's like, hey, I got way too much grip in the car. We got to loosen this thing up, and just had way too much drag. So, I mean, nobody's got more experience here than him. But we will combine all the information, and Tim Neff, that's engineering the Iceland car, and Lucas Oil car is the same as Buddy's engineer. So, if we can go forward and be there all day and get a good solid, top 7 or 8 out of it, that would be excellent on Sunday. That'd be like a win.
Yes, and you can go celebrate tonight. Have an off day tomorrow, and then good luck to you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sam Schmidt, guys. Alex Lloyd, his first win was on the road course here 1 year ago here in Indianapolis. He becomes the first driver to win both on the road course and oval here at IMS.
And it will be his 6th career win, 4th in a row this season. So he manages to tie Thiago Medeiros. And here comes the white flag and the yellow here at the starters platform. Paul Blevins, the official starter, waving, and 1 lap to go. This one will finish under yellow, a bit anticlimactic. You heard Sam reference Forrest Lucas, the name on the car. That is the same Forrest Lucas that the new football stadium, they bought naming rights to that for a few pennies here in Indianapolis. Also, his son Morgan Lucas runs Top Fuel in the NHRA Drag Racing Series, and Forrest has become a huge supporter of all forms of motorsports, and here he is. He's going to have a winning car with his logo on it at Indianapolis.
Isn't that a cool deal? And these cars are pretty fast when you think about the speed that they qualified on this race, 188 miles an hour. And obviously we're at 225 with the Indy cars. And Rusty, I did look up the track record for Cup, and it's a little slower than these guys. It's 106 miles an hour.
I knew there had to be a dig coming somewhere.
That does happen. I'll tell you, the guy I'm pretty impressed with, though, was Hideki Muto. I mean, he came from the back of that pack all the way up to the top 5. Let's talk about Allenser Jr. the third. I mean, he made it up in 8th position. That was a good run for him also. These guys gained a lot of experience. It's a short race, but I think it was enough that the owners on pit road got to look out and see what kind of talent is out there, and kind of judge how they ran.
And the nice thing about this series is that it runs almost in unison with all the rest of the IndyCar races all throughout the year, whether it's a mile track, a situation like maybe in Milwaukee or what have you, and the drivers do get an opportunity to showcase their talents in front of all the IndyCar owners all the time. There's the number 12 car of Al Unser Jr., or actually Al Unser the third. His father, Al Unser Jr., obviously a rival of mine back in the day.
24 years old. I remember when he was on tricycles running around the racetrack, and here he is at Indianapolis running on the same track his father will run for the 19th time on Sunday. The checkered flag flies, as does the yellow, and congratulations to Alex Lloyd as he wins his 4th in a row and 2nd in a row here at Indianapolis, which includes the road course win during the F1 race weekend. And wife Sam is extremely happy as they'll take home the winner's check. Chris Festa in 2nd, Jaime Camara in 3rd, Andrew Prendeville in 4th, and as Rusty pointed out, a great comeback for Hideki Muto to drive his way back to 5th. We still have a lot more. As you take a look at the final results, don't go anywhere. We still have the pit crew competition, and we'll talk to our winner.
Well, Jamie and I will be back pretty soon, but first we got the 91st run of the Indy 500 to get done.
That's for sure. As you see the celebration still continuing down in the winner's circle, let's check in with Brienne Pettigo.
Alex, congratulations. I don't know if you know this, but our other pit reporter, Jamie, noted earlier that you are the first person now to have conquered both the road course at Indy and the oval.
I know. I was told that before the race that this would be possible, and I can barely even talk. I'm just so happy. I've won a few races before, but I've never experienced a feeling like this of winning here at Indy on the oval. This is the next best thing to winning the 500 for me, so this is a really special time, and just great thanks to all the team. I mean, it's just, the car was so good, and it's been so good all year, and they've made my life so much easier this year. I was just able to go out there, drive around, and they gave me a fantastic car, so just great thanks to all the team.
Well, congratulations. This makes 4 in a row, guys, for Alex Lloyd, and today he's about $40,000 richer. Guys?
And in 2 of those races, he led every single lap, St. Petersburg and here. As we take a look at the final results, what jumped out at you today?
Yeah, always have to look at the Unser name. Anytime an Unser name is here at Indianapolis, it usually is magic. So hopefully in this near future, we'll get an opportunity to see Unser the third here in the IndyCar.
In the bottom part of the field, a lot of guys with a lot of trouble. As you can see, 4 cars did not make it to the finish line. And as we get ready now to set the stage for our pit crew competition, let's shift gears a little bit and bring in Jack Root.
Yeah, Marty, the curtain closes with a pit crew competition. Consider this, 10 teams, $100,000, $50,000 to the winner. This is the day that drivers get an opportunity to pay back their crews for all their hard work, not only in the Indy 500, but all season long. The drivers get excited about it. They love to perform for the people that often aren't in the spotlight. Vince?
Well, Jack, when races are being decided by thousandths of a second, then you can certainly make a difference in the pit lane for your driver on the racetrack. So teams are going to extra lengths to get better in the pits. One such team is Team Penske.
All right, start it up.
You know, you're never perfect. And so when we looked at the program and knew we were coming down here and looked at the workout program that the NASCAR team was using, you know, we were ready for it.
Everything they do is pretty much an improvement. They've done this for years and years with a NASCAR team now.
You have an instructor to teach you the proper way of lifting weights. Before, you know, I'm not going to say it was a free-for-all, but you were on your own.
These guys are really good. They took to everything we talked about, and we didn't really get into pit stops till a bit later. Our whole thing was wanting to get them in better shape. It's more core strength. Like when I say core strength, they're sitting on their knees, they're waiting for the car to come in. When that car comes in, they hit their nut, they're pulling tire off, pulling one off one arm, picking the other one up the other. All their strength is coming from the core.
They've really helped, you know, with overall strength, fitness, endurance, the whole program.
When these guys came down here, they had always filmed their pit stops from an overhead camera. They'd always recorded what they did. They'd come back, look at it, watch what they got. They never analyzed it. So what me and Bob did is we took what we call a breakdown sheet. And it's what we used on the cup side. It takes every position and gives a breakdown for 2 or 3 different times of what they can do. So you tell a guy, hey, you're doing a 6-second stop, and he says, where can I get better? And we don't know where to tell him. That's where the breakdown comes in. They'll know exactly where they're fast, where they're slow. We'll throw in situational stuff. Okay, you know, we got to have adjustments here. We got to have this. There's a car behind you. You got to pull around it. There's a car in front of you. How's he going to come in?
As you do so many repetitions, you're going to have problems. You're going to drop wheel nuts. You're going to drop tires. You're going to do this and that. If you only do a few, you might not get experience of dropping a wheel nut. Maybe that comes in the race instead. Now you might freeze. You might not know who to alert and everything else to do the right thing.
You don't want to exactly win a race on pit road, but you'll lose a race a lot easier. You know, if we come in second, go out second, we've done our job. If we come in second, go out fifth, we've lost the race. So, you know, we want to put it in the hands of the driver and the car as much as we can, and our job is to gain or maintain positions, and consistency is the way to do that. Dream team, you're wiping it down. It was close, though. It was close.
I think that references the fact that whoever lost that internal competition had to do the wipe down. Look at this. They're getting ready for the pit crew competition. Remember, $100,000 at stake, $50,000 to the winner. Notice that Sam never gets a word in when Elio's around. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we have already seen the final practice for the 91st running of the Indy 500. We've also seen our winner in this year's Freedom 100. Time now for the pit stop competition. And here are the rules. You have 6 crew members over the wall. Crews change 4 tires, attach the fuel hose, but no fuel actually gets pumped. Timing starts when the car enters the pit box. It stops when the car exits. Now let's show you what's happened so far as cars were qualifying and moving through into what we will pick up with the semifinals. It's been Team Penske at the top of the heap so far. They've recorded the 2 best times. Sam Hornish the second quickest. Elio Castroneves is the number 1 seed, advancing into the semifinals. They get buys. Scott Sharp also advances. He got past Scott Dixon. And then watch what happens here. We'll have a penalty assessed. Right rear tire changer. Did you see the air hammer? It goes outside the pit box. That's a no-no. Dario Franchitti is out. Vitor Mira is in. So it'll be Castroneves and Sharp, Hornish versus Mira. Vince?
Well, Marty, this is a race, but it's not a race from that end. It's a race from this mark right here. It's a timing and scoring line. So when the cars cross this timing and scoring line on each side of the wall, it trips the timing clock. Now, they've got 50 feet of pit box area in which to work to change the tires and to go through the simulated fueling, as Marty suggested, before they cross this timing line on exit of the box. So it's not necessarily a race from that end to this end. It's a race from that timing line to this timing line 50 feet away.
Thanks, Vince. We're ready now for our first semifinal. It'll be Helio Castroneves up against Scott Sharp. Let's check in with Jack Root.
Scott Sharp has been the surprise thus far of this competition, coming from deep in the field. But the number 1 seed, Helio Castroneves, has the quickest time thus far, 8.09. Now, on this pit stop, I want you to watch the right front tire changer. He's the crew chief, Rick Reineman, in Helio Castroneves' car. Because he has to kneel and not go over the wall, he can work on that right front tire with a repaired Achilles tendon and in a brace. Says it hasn't affected him at all. Thus far at the times, it seems to bear true.
There is Rick Reineman, as he is a 2-time pit stop competition winner with Helio's team. Engines are fired. And again, don't judge anything by what you may see here at the start where the guys hit the hammer. It's when they cross that timing line.
Most importantly, to come in there smoothly, stop on your mark so your crew members don't have to move their position to start changing those 4 tires. If they do, you can almost be assured that you're not going to win.
Watch the timing clock. You'll see when they start. And here we go. There's Rick Reineman on the right front. Helio is first and away, and problems for Scott Sharp. And wow, look at the time for Castroneves. That's the best so far. 7.67 seconds. Tim Cindric loves it. So does the team. Helio's going to be tap dancing when he hears that one.
And these guys have been down in Charlotte at the race shops practicing continuously every single day. They got a driver or pit stop coach down there, and it's paying off.
Well, you saw the feature that we did with Team Penske, if you were with us just a little bit earlier in the broadcast, and look at that. And Helio's got a big grin underneath that helmet, I guarantee you. Let's go back and take a look at their run. This is by far the best run of the day.
Gets into the box smoothly. You don't have to come in fast and just skids to a stop. And actually, once the tires start to get changed as a driver, you're putting the car back into gear. You're starting to rev it up. As soon as it goes down, you drop the clutch and off you go.
Now let's take a look at the problem. So you have right front had a little bit of a problem, and then in the rear, and then the car stalls.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, guys. Very important for the driver. Big celebration out of Ganassis.
Let's check in with Vince.
Helio, you look like you're having as much fun in this as you do in the race. What's going on?
I mean, look at this crowd, man. This is incredible. I mean, obviously it's fun. It's nothing about me. It's about those guys. They are incredible. They are fast. And remember, Reineman still have his leg, like kind of a old brace and stuff like that. But it's going to be tough. We're in the finals. Let's continue working.
Helio Castroneves, quickest so far.
So Team Penske is halfway to their 10th win in this competition. Let's set up the other semifinal, Jackaroot.
And there's nothing that Roger Penske would like better than 2 red cars, but for Sam Hornish Jr., he's going to have to beat Vitor Meira. And this car, fellas, was built specifically for this event. You see, when John Andretti took the T car from Panther Racing and put it in the field, the crew went back to the shop, took them 5 days, looks pretty good. Now Meira's going to try and put it in the finals.
And Panther Racing has won this twice. Somebody I know, I think he's sitting up here with us, Rusty.
Yeah, Scott Goodyear. He did this a couple times. He did great.
All right, we're getting ready for this other semifinal. You don't want to chime in on this?
Oh, man, I just know what the drivers are feeling right now. You want to get down to the line, get it in there as quickly as possible. Smoothly, though, and this is the neat feeling. Green flag.
Remember, the time starts right there when they cross into the box. Here we go.
Pressure on the teams, no mistakes. Remember, if there's loose wheel nuts or any other thing like that, there's usually penalties.
And an 8.4 second elapsed time for Sam Hornish. Vitor Meira at 9.5. So pending any penalties, it will be an all-Penske final. And it means that one of these teams is going to take home $50,000 and the other will take home second place money of $15,000. Let's go back taking a look.
Castroneves gets in, good smooth stop. The right front off, left front off. Look how they're both going on the same speed. Air wrench, no penalties. I didn't see anything at all. Good smooth exit.
So far, no word on any penalties, so it looks like Roger Penske will get a guaranteed 10th win here. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll have the final in the pit stop competition. All right, so back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's money time as we are getting ready for an all-Penske final. Elio Castroneves will be on driver's left. That's closest to the pit wall. And then Sam Hornish Jr. on the right. Now remember, last year it was Elio's team that won. Sam's team won in 05, so this is basically rubber game of the match. And the winning time last year, 8.08 seconds. And remember, Elio in the semifinals went 7.6 seconds. Here we go. Oh, and Elio stalls, but this will not hurt him. According to the rules, it's when you enter the pit box.
And as long as the car enters in, even being pushed is fine, but it has to come out actually underneath its own power.
Now Sam's time's at 8.8 seconds and a little delay on the right front, and this could be costly. Out of the box, 8.3. Castroneves wins here at Indianapolis despite stalling the car, and he probably thinks he cost the team.
He stayed really cool there, Marty. I mean, the team was poised in position. He stalled the car. They knew what the rules were. He got down there, and they performed a flawless stop. Second year in a row for Castroneves. He's got to be happy. But the guy really happy is Roger Penske, because both of his guys are in the finals.
So let's take a look at it again. You can see right there, Elio going, it's stalled.
Now, even though it stalls, once the car gets started again, as I mentioned, you can come into your pit box at any time because, as Vince Welsh mentioned, it's actually going over the timelines. Rick Reineman on the right front actually struggling just to get that wheel on a little bit, throws the wheel gun off, and Castroneves leaves under full power.
And the crowd has just been given the official word. They were looking for any potential penalties, and Elio now knows that despite stalling the car, because he had not entered the time zone into the pit box, the clock had not started, he is the winner here. So he has won the pit stop competition here at Indianapolis. Stay with us. We'll wrap the day up. ESPN's presentation of the Indianapolis 500 Carb Day, presented by Checkers and Rallies, the official burger of the Indianapolis 500, and in part by Train Clean Effects, the first central air system that heats, cools, and cleans the air throughout your entire home. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Whoa, look out. I think I know where Elio's headed.
Oh, we know what he's going to do. He's going to climb that fence. He's taking his whole team with it. He won the thing today. He's so proud. That is what he always does when he wins.
And as we saw a little earlier, training pays off.
All that training they did in Charlotte, North Carolina really paid off for both the Penske teams.
And Rusty, you know, right now Elio is just carrying the momentum that he got from pole day into this carburation day, and now he looks forward to the race. Will he be able to win on race day also? The last time somebody won all three, 2004, which was Buddy Rice. And before that, you have to go all the way back to 1981. Bobby Unser won all three on that particular day also.
So another goal for Elio Castroneves. They just picked up another $50,000 for the win here. Of course, that check goes to the entire team. And look at this crowd. It was a huge turnout today here at Indianapolis. Tune in Sunday at noon on ABC, the 91st running of the Indianapolis 500, telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And coming up next, it will be NASCAR Now. And as the fans head over for the concert with Kid Rock here at the Speedway Pavilion, we get ready to say farewell. And oh, what a day it has been today. Final Carb Day practice with Andretti Green taking the top 3 slots. And then we crowned a new winner in the Freedom 100 with Alex Lloyd taking his 4th straight win. And of course, Elio Castroneves capping off a great day of action here, winning the pit stop competition. For all of us on our ESPN crew, we will see you Sunday. Who will win the Indy 500? Find out then.